Oroville City Council meeting. We'll return from closed session. Mr. Ritchie, do you have a report from closed session?
Thank you. Council in closed session, by consensus, directed to make a confidential attorney-client privilege report from LCW concerning the interpretation of City Charter Article 28, Section 3. They're going to waive privilege. That was our direction, so the city will make it available for the public. Other than that, direction given to staff and no other action.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next item is a Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Reynolds, would you lead us?
Salute, pledge. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic. One nation.
I'd like to welcome you all to the city council meeting. Just a couple items just for details. If you need to exit the building, we have an exit over here off to the wall, and we have obviously the entrance and exit that you came in on. We also have a series of bathrooms down the hallway if you need to use that. If we need to leave the building for some reason, I'm going to appoint Mr. Fred Mayo to make sure to clear everyone out. And we'll all meet in the parking lot on the other side of City Hall if that be necessary. So again, welcome, and we'll start with the meeting. Next item is adoption of agenda.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Motion passes with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
All right. Next item is presentations and proclamations. Looks like we have a presentation from the Haven of Hope on Wheels.
Yes, hi, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members. My name is Pastor Kevin Thompson, and with this very short, hopefully, presentation on the Haven of Hope on Wheels project. And certainly, we're looking to develop a partnership, an ongoing partnership with the city of Oroville. And we hope after this presentation, if there's any questions, concerns, or observations, that you would make them known. And we just hope that you would invite us back for further, to further this. And I just want to say one thing on, I think it's frame number 5. There's a video, short video, and it's an older video. But the reason that I wanted to show that video is just to show you how the Haven of Hope on Wheels project have helped change lives and alter the lives. And one of the young ladies that's in that video, she's actually here with us tonight. And so we're hoping to hear from her. So at this time, without any further ado, I want to turn it over to Ms. Courtney.
All right, thank you. Hello, today I will be presenting the proposal today on Haven of Hope on Wheels. The goal is to expand Haven of Hope on Wheels program to serve in 3 designated locations in Oroville. The service will operate during the agreed upon hours, and the hours will be from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. 3 days a week. That'll be Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. The Haven of Hope on Wheels program is a vital initiative to address the needs of homelessness in the community of Oroville. Our mobile service operates from 5 40-foot trailers that are equipped with essential facilities to support those experiencing homelessness. And the trailer provide much-needed services, including showers, laundry, toilets, sink, and stackable washer and dryer units. The Oroville Southside Community Improvement Association is a 501c3 dedicated to being a haven of hope for all individuals. And our initiatives include the Haven of Hope on Wheels, 3HP, the Housing Project, Southside Community Center, and the Family Resource Center. In Butte County, there are a total of 1,237 homeless individuals. And of that number, 214 individuals experiencing homelessness are in Oroville. And this program has successfully served at least 168 of those individuals across the 2 locations. So that shows that Haven of Hope has touched at least 80% of the homeless population here in Oroville. And not only do they help with those services, they also have wraparound services while they're out there providing the washers and the showers. They have services on housing, health care, child care, education, job search, and community resources. And now we're going to play a short video.
Click right on the screen itself.
Is it in the slide?
Maybe we can come back to it. Maybe we just jump over. Would that be okay? Yeah.
Yes, we can come back to the video. On an average, the program facilitates 25 to 30 showers and 10 loads of laundry daily, also offering comprehensive support to foster self-sufficiency. And some of the benefits of this program is, additionally, by promoting good hygiene, we significantly reduce the risk of skin infections and other health-related issues associated with inadequate hygiene practices. Some of the benefits are they prevent the spread of disease, like I mentioned before, enhance the self-esteem, increase the chances of the homeless people securing employment, reduce the risk of skin infections, and the risk of health-related issues. Here's a little short timeline of it. The program launched in 2018. In 2019 through 2020, that's when the program expanded. 2020, that's when the COVID pandemic happened. And the acquisition of more units, that happened in 21 through 22. In 2023, Haven of Hope worked with the Genesis Pallet Shelter for 2 years and provided thousands of showers, not just here, but just in Butte County alone. And in 2024, the Shingilla outbreak, and Haven of Hope was called as an emergency response to come and provide shelters, and they didn't hesitate. They was right there. That's what we need in this community. And the impact and benefits of the service, it enhanced the hygiene access. Regular access to showers and laundry facilities not only improves immediate health and cleanliness of the individual, but also restores their sense of dignity and self-worth. Improved hygiene also reduces the spread of illnesses with the unhoused community and the broader population, fostering overall public health. Regular hygiene service reduced the prevalence of communicable disease such as Shingilla, COVID-19, skin infections, and so on. And in turn, it reduces the financial strain on public resources by preventing costly outbreaks and emergency room visits. By reducing unsanitary conditions in public areas, this program can contribute to cleaner parks, streets, and different spaces, enhancing the city's overall appearances and ability for residents and usability for residents and visitors. So by partnering with Haven of Hope on Wheels, the city of Oroville will not only enhance critical services for its unhoused and displaced populations, but also stimulate a local economy. Haven of Hope on Wheels commits to hiring local residents, creating employment opportunities within the community, and sourcing material supplies from Oroville-based vendors, which ensures the economic benefit, ensures that it remain within the city, supporting small businesses and fostering a growth. Now, this partnership may open doors to additional funding through grants and, donations, federal state programs designed to support an innovative homeless solutions, because we all know that homelessness is a big issue, not just here locally and statewide, it's a national issue. And we could be the example of what we could, by providing Haven of Hope on Wheels, we can set the examples of what all city needs to support their local homeless population. Also, it improved the hygiene among the unhoused and decreased the need for emergency medical interventions, minimized the cleanup costs for public spaces, and supports the public health initiative. And also, it strengthens the community partnership. As you can see, the community is here to support us, and community partnership is important. These collaborations strengthens the city capacity to address homelessness effectively. Now, the rescue mission is building a pallet shelter. We can also provide services while they wait to open up. Haven of Hope on Wheel program plays a crucial role in improving the overall well-being of Oroville homelessness population. And by providing fundamental resources and support, we are not only addressing immediate needs, but also contributing a long-term solution to seeking a pathway out of homelessness. Thank you.
And we certainly, ask that you consider this. We've always wanted to be a partner with the city of Oroville. Many of you, away from the dais and in the communities. We just want to be the best that we can possibly be. And we can be a beacon of light, to this dark and dying world if we coagulate our efforts, work together, and make this place a better place to live. So we just want to say thank you with that.
Thank you. Do we have any public cards on this? Oh, okay.
Mr. Mayor, we have many public cards on this. I will first read into the record that we did receive one electronic comment from Councilmember Thompson, and then we did receive one as well from Bill Connolly.
All right.
And then we will start with the blue speaker cards. We'll begin with Donna Poley and follow that with Levi Niss.
Welcome, Donna.
Hi, Council. My name's Donna Pulley, and I just wanted to come up and say that Haven Hope has really done a lot for me. I am homeless, and I'm able to take showers and get my clothes washed, and it makes me feel a whole lot better to know that I can do that instead of being out here and being dirty, and it makes me feel like I'm still a part of the community. Thank you. God bless you all.
Well, good. Levi Niss speaking on behalf of the people. And I just want to highlight the importance, the absolute importance of sustaining our community assets. And we have that opportunity today to sustain that, not solely on the city, but there's lots of ways that we can fund Haven of Hope. It doesn't have to be all on the city, but it's a community asset we have to sustain. So if this is the beginning of that conversation and we get a yes or a no, we don't mind either one, but let's figure out as a city, as a community, how we can sustain these incredible assets for our people.
Thank you. Up next, we have Daniel Drake, followed by Bonita Malone.
Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you, sir. God bless each and every one who is here. I support my grandfather in his project and anything that he does because he's an awesome and a courageous person. He does all he can to help others. Not only does he help others, but he is a mighty leader of God. And I've seen the progress and the successfulness in this project during the time when he had helped others during the block party. He had trailers of the showers out there washing clothes and cleaning. So I just want to thank him for being that help to others, because you just don't know how helpful and how appreciated they are to have those services. So I truly acknowledge him and congratulate him for starting this project. As they continue to do this project, they'll be more successful and help others that needs that help.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Bonita Malone, and I have been working with the Haven of Hope on Wheels in that several of my friends bring meals while people are getting their clothing washed and their showers. We can offer some homemade food. But I wanted to share the desperate need for these services in Oroville. You must all be aware of the increased homeless population due to any number of catastrophes over the last several years. But I wanted to share an anecdote that really got me going. I was at the Haven of Hope where Earl Lewis back there, who drives these enormous trailers with all of the washing machines and the showers. And there was a woman who just emerged from the shower area, and she was an elderly woman, probably my age, and she was at the top of the stairway, this rickety metal stairway, and was a little off balance for a moment, and Earl walked halfway up, extended his arm to her, and helped her down. And I'll tell you, that woman was, her chin was lifted, her head was erect. She was dressed in a beautiful, clean white shirt tucked into what were at one time fashionable slacks, and she was proud and dignified and elegant as he helped her down the stairway. And I just thought, this is just a little tiny bit of what this Haven of Hope on Wheels has provided. We, people who live in abundance, have a responsibility to those who don't. And by living in abundance, I mean having adequate food, shelter, clothing, and community. It is our responsibility to help those in need. And I'll tell you, when we go there and we're handing out our sandwiches, I have never been, it's so fulfilling. People say, "Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. God bless you, ma'am." I just like, whoa, this, it's a selfish thing after. It's just the most astounding thing. And to have these facilities, there but for fortune go you or I, any of us with a fire, a flood, an illness, a sick child, an aging parent, the loss of work due to the pandemic. We could, and homeless and without funding. And so we really, really need to take a good look and reach into our hearts and fund this program and expand this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Up next, we have Earl Lewis, followed by Frank Johnson.
Man, I didn't think I'd be this nervous when I got up. But I just want to thank you, our community. Oh, God loves you, and so do I. And we've heard, we've seen the video, you've seen the video, and I must add, it is very rewarding. We have something here that's needed in every city. Amen. We have a crisis of homelessness in our community right here. And it's time for us to step up and, well, hey, when Joe Biden went out, he said, everybody deserves a shot. We deserve a shot. So please find it in your heart to fund this program because you heard all the great things that was said and how it has helped this community. And just on a week ago, you know, I had a person come to me. He told me, he says, I gotta take a shower. He said, I gotta take a shower. And he was really emotional. He says, I gotta go to the doctor. He says, I can't go to the doctor smelling like I'm smelling. I need to take a shower so they'll want to treat me. Then it come to find out that this man, he went to the doctor for his third, did you hear what I say? Third prostate surgery. So, like a servant that I am, after he was telling me the only thing I could do, I said, well, Lord, you told me men should always pray. So I began to pray for him, and I'm here to tell you, I just saw him today. You wouldn't believe it, how the Lord has really blessed him. Really blessed him, you know, and what I do, I'm a servant. That's all I am. I'm a servant. God showed me what he wanted me to do, and I want to continue to do it. Amen. And I want y'all to open them pocketbooks.
Thank you, Earl.
Q. Up next, we have Frank Johnson, followed by Angel Yang.
Welcome, Frank.
Frank.
My name is Frank Johnson, to the mayor and the cabinets. Amen. It's a privilege and a blessing to be here once again. And I just thank God for my big brother and my big sister. Amen. Thompson. Amen. Because they couldn't have done it without God help. And I just thank God for them. They are good people. The job they are doing is well done. I was volunteer to help with the shower, and I've seen a lot of people, homeless people, coming there, need a shower, want a shower, and this is what they are here for, is to be a help. And not only be a help, but to be a blessing to them. And even throw in my neighborhood and different things, I see things goes on, and I will call up City Council Goodson and let her know. And you know, when you see stuff in your community need to be cleaned up, need to be done, don't be afraid to come and let people know that we could get some help. And this is what Pastor Kelvin has been doing, is helping. And he couldn't do it without the Lord, and he couldn't do it also without his wife by his side. And I just thank God for that, because those my big brother and my big sister, and I'm a person that volunteer help anywhere that I can. So you might see me anywhere helping out, and that's what I do. So let's support Heavy Hope on Wheel. Let's step up, because I see myself sometimes looking at everything and say, Lord, it could have been me. Outdoors, no shoes, no clothes, but I got a shelter, and I thank God for it. And like my pastor always say, we ain't but one step away of being homeless. All of us ain't but one step away, and we could be homeless. So let's think on helping one another that's in need.
Thank you, Frank.
Next, we have Angel Yang, followed by Toby.
Welcome, Angel.
Council members and staffs and everybody who's here with us today. It's an honor to be here. My name's Angel, and I'm here on the behalf of United Way of Northern California. And I'm here to support Haven and Hope and Wells. We have seen the work that they have done to provide for our underserved and most vulnerable populations here in our community, not just within Oroville, but within the nearby cities, all the way up to Reading. And so I want to echo the support today and highlight that this service is much needed to address a lot of the wraparound services or barriers that we face, such as transportation and meeting a lot of our participants where they are. So that means bringing all these resources to them. So having these localized shelters or places for a lot of our participants to go to when they need to is very crucial for us. And so we just want to say, please support and approve the request, and especially in times during the cases of displacements for a lot of our friends, such as disasters that we've been facing the last couple of years. And so, again, please approve of the request. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel.
Thank you. Up next, we have Toby Dowd, followed by Pastor David Goodson.
Welcome, Toby.
I'm also from Northern California of United Way. Prior to that, I worked at the crisis unit for Butte County. I was a counselor there and worked doing case management and lethality assessments. I first met Kevin in the homeless community, mostly in the homeless camps in Chico, but then I moved here and transferred here in Oroville. Now, during that time, I can tell you that not only did it help with cleanliness and all the things that we've talked about so far, but it would help our clients feel better about themselves to get to the appointments that they could help themselves when it came to mental health. It gave them the courage to come. It gave them something to feel better about themselves. And I can tell you the time that I spent in these homeless camps, which was about 2.5 years. This man right here, he was one of the most popular people in all of Chico when it came to the homeless community. With the services that they provide and the hope that he gives, and that all of the people that they work for him. They really provide hope. And I can testify to you guys today that is exactly what they do. And not only providing hope with the showers, but providing hope to be able to get in employment, to be able to get mental health services, to be able to have that confidence that, hey, I can go another day. There's a lot of members that I met throughout the homeless community that do not want to be out there, but they may be on their last minute. They might be thinking about their last day. But I can also witness and tell you and testify today that this man and Haven on Hope on Wheels, they help people to go further and farther than they feel like they can go. With the systems and what they produce, the showers and washing their clothes, when they show up and they see Kevin or they see somebody else that work for them, it lifts them up spiritually, physically, emotionally. To see them come is, for a lot of them, it is the best part of their day. And I'm very grateful for this man and for all the work that him and his people underneath him have done. So I thank you for your time, and God bless.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I'm Pastor David Goodson, and I'm here this evening to support the advocacy of Haven of Hope on Wheels and the work that they do. You have heard many presenters advocating and giving giving a credence to what has been accomplished by Haven of Hope on Wheels. Haven of Hope on Wheels got their start through the city council here in Oroville, okay? And it has continued, and through the advocacy of Pastor Kevin Thompson and his team, it has grown. I would urge the council that, to look at this and to, if anyone has any past grievances or differences of opinion, I would urge you to set those aside and look at the partnership of what can be accomplished and the need that we have here in Oroville. People being able to have a shower, have their clothes washed. They're homeless for many, many different reasons. Some of them are, have mental health issues and other issues and such. But it is our city here in Oroville. We should be able to do something about this. I would urge the city to look at a partnership, to look at how funding can be brought about. And when you're looking at it this way, look to see maybe what the city has, look to see how you can partnership with Haven of Hope on Wheels, OSCIA, and the writing of grants and/or whatever opportunities might be available, coming together and sitting at the table to see how the need could be met. Things take time, but if you really truly care, you will work with Haven of Hope on Wheels and try to find the funds in order to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Don Noble, followed by Lisa Torres.
Welcome, Don.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Pittman, Vice Mayor Smith, and the rest of the City Council. Before I go to my script, I've got some tough acts to follow. And I was so touched by these messages, people speaking without notes. So anyway, here I go. In President Reagan's first inaugural address in 1981, he heralded Americans whom he described as, and I quote, the heroes among us, unquote. He mentioned members of law enforcement, teachers, firefighters, truck drivers, doctors, farm workers, and more. In other words, the hardworking people that are the glue that hold our country together and allow it to function. Though modest to the core, we have someone among us I've been describing as a hero for years. Kevin Thompson, I'm thankful and honored to count you as one of my friends. Reagan considered these heroes among us as, and I quote, we the people, the breed called Americans. He asks, and again I'm quoting, how can we love our country and not our countrymen? In loving them, reach out a hand when they fall, heal them when they're sick, and provide an opportunity to make them self-sufficient so they will be equal in fact and also, not just in theory, but also in fact, unquote. It was as if he was speaking explicitly about the efforts of the Haven of Hope on Wheels. Homelessness is a huge and complicated challenge with no simple fixes, of course. But what Kevin and his selfless crew accomplish by providing a bit of comfort while demonstrating that there are people who care is infinitely preferable to doing nothing. Now, I'm not in a position to speak to specific budget categories or the possibility of grants and partnerships, but failure should not be an option. If this council adopts that mindset, again, that failure is not an option, I'm confident the Haven of Hope on Wheels will get the funding it needs and deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Lisa Torres, followed by Brian Williams.
Welcome, Lisa.
Mayor, council members, and staff. Hi. I just want to say, I've been with Haven of Hope on Wheels for a very long time. We've been around since me and my husband since before 2016. 2016, when the program first came about, we heard Pastor Kevin, which is also our pastor, discuss of what he wanted to do. And this is something that it was deep in his heart, something that him and his wife they really thought about, and they really saw the need in Oroville. And this is something that we've stood behind all these years, and we still stand behind till this day. And I think as a council, you can see that from the time that 2016 and from our first truck till now we have 5 trucks, we see the need, we see the progression, and we see the success of our program. we have the ability to do something that a lot of people may not have, which is communicate with the homeless people. Homeless people are not only just drug addicts that are off the streets or that got forgotten. There are some amazing people out there that you would sit there and you'd be surprised of their struggles and their ways of why they became homeless or how they became homeless. We till this day serve homeless people that were only homeless only because of campfires, but we are there to help them. And we treat everyone, not only just one person, but everyone with the same dignity and respect that they deserve because they are people of God. And this is what we do. We have the compassion and we have the heart to serve the people. And we have this under great leadership. Our leadership not only teaches us that, through God, things are possible, but that we can reach one another and we can teach one another and we can uplift one another. When we say that a dignity with shower, that is truly what dignity is. Could you imagine not having a shower for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days? Your lights turned off. Everybody runs to a restaurant, but everybody doesn't have that ability to run to a restaurant. Everybody doesn't have that ability to go to a family's house to take a shower. They have to learn how to survive, and they have to learn how to deal with it. But we are there to help them, and this is the work that we do. This is the work that we put into our hearts every single day, that we go out there. We don't just go for a paycheck. Paycheck's nice, but we go because this is the love and the hope that we have for the people of Oroville, and we want to help Oroville. And what we want to do is we want to grow. In order for us to grow, we need your help. This is help this is an investment, a partnership. This is something that you can grow together, and we can sit there and see and know that this is a need that is in our community. We have people that are counting on us, and we are counting on you to find ways to help us, so like that we can continue to grow and continue to touch the lives that we have, and let these people know that they are mattered and that God loves them, and so do we, and so does this council. Thank you.
Mayor, thank you, everybody. Again, like Don said, many great messages that have come before me. I want to say that Hope of Haven on Wheels is a service that is unmatched in Northern California. Obviously, with the pandemic, I showed up in Oroville in the pandemic, and if they weren't part of what they were doing, our town would definitely be in more trouble than it already is. I feel that this service adds capacity to people who are already diminished in capacity, and that's everything that we need to do as a community, is to lift people up. I am completely in support of helping fund and working with Haven of Hope on Wheels to be assisted by the city to come to terms on what they can do to help each other, whether it's grants, partnerships. I would like to see some type of transportation services maybe being part of this expansion to help more people be able to get to these shower systems, so we could do 50 in a day instead of 25. Since we got a new community navigator program, I would also like to see the city add some types of timing that this community navigator could also go to these locations when they're doing their showers, so that they have a lot of people in the same place to add with all the other wraparound services that they're already trying to add. So again, find a way. It is important. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Frank Martinez, followed by Bill Bynum.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and our general public. My name is Frank Martinez. I am the president and CEO of the nonprofit organization here in Oroville, Butte County United. And I started working with Pastor Kevin Thompson in 2018 during the campfire. He and us, my organization, teamed up to feed hundreds of people in this community, mainly homeless people. And there was a lot of homeless people that were ashamed to come down and get a meal because of their hygiene and the way they looked. And working around this organization, they offer so many services other than washing your clothes and washer and dryer. There's always hygiene products, toiletries, food, water for this poor community that are homeless to get these resources. When I was out in the field Disaster relief, I was offered a shower because I could hardly get to my house and take a shower, but I denied it because there's so many people that need it over myself. You know, it's really important to this community because the services Haven and Hope offers is an education. It's public education and teaching our children on what we need to do to help a community that is homeless, for when we're not here, they could continue what we're doing to serve. Most of us that serve the community, we're serving for God. We're chosen ones. We're not volunteers. We're chosen to do this, and it's in our hearts. And I don't write down things to say. It comes out of my heart at that time. I've witnessed this man help so many people, thousands of people. When we're doing disaster relief, anytime I called him, he was right there for the community. During the North Complex Bear Fire in 2020, he was able to serve Breast Creek, Berry Creek, Mountain House, Forbes-Town, Feather Falls, by providing these services to people that are homeless because they were either evacuated or they lost everything in a fire. It just doesn't have to do with disasters, it's everyday life. You know, when a disaster hits, there he is. It's not only people that are homeless. You know, there's going to be floods, there's going to be more fires. And each time there is a fire every year, there are more people that become homeless in Butte County. So I'm asking you please to take it in your hearts to try to find a way to fund this so people could continue to get the services that Haven of Hope on Wheels has to offer.
Thank you, Frank. Welcome, Bill.
Okay, glad to be here, and I don't want to take up too much time, but I just felt the need to come down and offer my support for this tremendous program. I've witnessed it over the years, and so please consider doing what you can to partner and help with Haven of Hope. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Bill.
Up next, we have Josh Jameson, followed by Carol Zanin.
Hello, everyone. I'll be brief. I'm Pastor Josh Jameson with the Oroville Hope Center. On behalf of the Oroville Hope Center, we just want to express our love, our gratitude, and our support for Haven of Hope on Wheels and what they do. We love and admire the leadership, the organization, the volunteers, the employees, and work with them week after week. We also can attest to their consistency, their faithfulness to meet the need in the community as they provide dignity. Thank you.
So my name is Carol Zanin. I'm the director of the Greater Oroville Homeless Coalition. We've been around since 2004. Every week I talk to 30 to 50 homeless individuals or family members, and they're always asking for whatever services are available, whatever needs, how can you help me, whatever, or my family. I recently, in fact, just this last week, spoke to a woman. She had been recently homeless, and she said, "What am I going to do?" One of the things in her mind was, how am I going to wash my clothes? Where am I going to shower? What? And I told her about the Haven of Hope. And so she was so excited. She was very happy about that. And I told her it was on Tuesday and Fridays. The Greater Oroville Homeless Coalition really believes in the prevention of homelessness. And so this week alone, I'm working with about 6 to 8 families trying to prevent their evictions, trying to prevent their shutoffs. Whenever I need something, if there's a family that needs food right away, I call and can call Kevin, and no problem, bring them down, tell them to come here, we'll have a box for them, whatever. So I know that he is definitely a person we can count on. I'm hoping that the city council will support him in any way to keep this service for Oroville and continue to help in so many ways. one of the important things about the Haven of Hope showers and the services is it's kind of the location. When you get these huge trucks there, everybody starts looking and wondering what's going on, and a lot of people will congregate there, and the food is there. Judy and her husband, they provide food, make hot, wonderful meals. I'd love to go there and eat all the time. But anyway, the Homeless Coalition provides bananas and pizzas on Tuesdays, and we have done that for approximately 3 to 4 years. I can't remember. But we definitely want to keep this service going. So I only have 28 seconds, and I just want to say, please do all you can and call upon us. The Homeless Coalition is a nonprofit. We only have a few volunteers ever since COVID happened. We lost a lot of volunteers, but we want to still continue to help. We get many, many calls and referrals from 211, and many other agencies contact us, and we can help quite a bit. Thank you.
Carol.
Mr. Mayor, I have one card remaining. Annette Robinson.
Annette? Welcome, Annette.
Thank you. Good evening to the mayor, vice mayor, all the council members. I'm glad to be here. I'm fairly new to Oroville, but I do want to ask that you do request a partnership with Haven. I just want to let you know, because where I'm from, San Diego, we do have partnerships where the public entities will partner with a lot of the other businesses. Stand Down is a perfect example on how it serves the public. And when they provide showers and other benefits to the homeless people, the homeless community, what you find is you find less of what we saw in San Diego, defecating on sidewalks in front of businesses. Hepatitis. In 2017, there was 592 cases of hepatitis A in San Diego with 20 deaths. So these type of programs are extremely important for the homeless as well as all of the community members within. We are public servants. When we work or take a job or sit on a board or a committee, we are public servants. And what we do is serve the public. As you all will serve your constituents are out there helping those who are less fortunate. And we all work as a team. So we need to partnership with one another for the success of our people, of our communities. And so I am requesting that you do support the partnership and that we become one and not divided nor separate to help our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Rita?
I don't show one, but you absolutely can come up and,
Yeah, come
yes,
on.
absolutely.
Welcome, Vanessa.
Hi, my name's Vanessa. I was the girl that they were talking about on the video that didn't play. Without this program, I don't know where I would even be today. Currently, right now, I have 5.5 years clean and sober. I got a job because of a result of the Haven of Hope on Wheels. I felt more confident, and so I was able to obtain employment and eventually housing. I haven't been homeless since January 1st of 2020, and I spent 5 years in homelessness in this city. I have a job. I'm a manager at Carl's Jr., and I've been working there for about 5 years now. I got my grandson. I have custody of my grandson, and I also got my felonies expunged. And it all started with this program here. If I didn't have a shower truck to go to so that I felt confident in myself, I wouldn't have been able to go to interviews for jobs and stuff like that. I wouldn't have been able to reach the point that I am in my life right now if God hadn't put these people in my life. And I'm so very, very, very grateful that this program exists, and I think that it's very beneficial to everyone. Thank you.
Is that the last card? All right.
That's all I have, sir.
Well, certainly, we've got a tremendous amount of information. I open it up to the council for council comments. Councilman Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for all of the public comments. It was very moving and inspiring, especially the young lady. Did she leave? Yeah, I was going to tell her, good job. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good job. My bride and my children and I are no stranger to having had been down and out. Pastor Josh, your predecessor, Larry and Stephanie Hayden, they started the Hope Center. And years ago, we would go get services all the way out there on Lincoln, when it was just in the tiny little warehouse. And there was no Haven of Hope then, but of course I would have used it had there been. So it does truly take a village, right? And what we've seen here is a bunch of testimonies that are talking about the importance of not despising a day of small beginnings, right? Because like the young lady just talked about in her testimony, she started by just feeling confident enough, right? And that was enough to get her through that day, right? And then that led to something else. And something I've been teaching my kids forever is that, you can't get to the macro without first doing the micro. You have to take care of the micro, and then you could get to the macro. And because they're all connected. There is no disconnection. The smallest to the biggest things, they're all connected. So I think it's important that, things like what the Haven of Hope does, and I love the name, Haven of Hope on Wheels, and hope does not disappoint. Just a glimmer of hope can give you enough fuel in your tank for that day to get through that day, and that's the idea, So, and collaboratively, as we come along, we've got this opportunity to seek out. I like what Pastor David Goodson was talking about, and many others have said, partnerships, and it takes all of us working together to make a difference, right? Each of us have unique gifts, talents, and abilities according to the gifts that we've been given. Some of us are more talented in other areas, organization, encouragement, what it may be. But we all need to man our individual stations in order to make the whole thing work, right? Because the city is made up of a bunch of people that are all collaboratively working together for the betterment, for the good, for the uplifting, for the forward momentum of what we can do. So I'm not exactly sure how the city can partner in this, okay? But I think it's worth a conversation for sure to explore the options. I for one am interested in looking at what options are to help out this organization. I'm thankful for all of the presentation. Thank you, Pastor Kevin. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you for all you guys do in the community. And I'm thankful for the speakers who truly were inspiring. My hope is that this is the beginning conversation to explore options to come alongside you, okay? Now, how that is exactly done, I don't know, but perhaps through a grant, perhaps through a partnership opportunity, perhaps through the lobbyists that we just hired last meeting, because I'm sure that recidivism, homelessness, recidivism reduction, that would fit very, very neatly into the plans that Sacramento has, right, and the monies that are allocated. As far as short-term goals, I don't know exactly how we can meet those goals, but I would love for us to explore those options again, okay? So I'm truly moved by, and I'm so thankful for this opportunity to have heard this presentation, because it reminded me of when I had small beginnings. It reminded me when I didn't have hope. It reminded me of walking down the street, not remembering, not able to feed my kids, right? And plucking oranges off of orange trees in downtown just to get a bite to eat. And so I'm super thankful for that. And then fast forward, micro to the macro, and here we are now, right? So, and I believe it was Don Noble's point, or maybe, no, wait a minute. I forget who said it, but somebody was talking about, I believe it was that young lady right back there, talking about the responsibility we have, those that have versus the ones that do not. right? And I'm definitely in the have category today. It took a lot of hard work and determination to get there, but it starts with a small thing, right? Carol Zanin, I don't know if you remember, but I started serving at the Hope Center with you years and years ago, and got my start in politics right at that podium right there when Larry Hayden asked me to come here and talk on behalf of the Hope Center to get permission to go and unlock all the parks in the city to go and do outreach and cleaning. I mean, you probably remember I was standing right there, very nervous, but that was my introduction to politics. And then look where it led, because I wasn't a real political guy. Anyway, I digress. Please forgive me. But I would love to explore if it's the will of this council to seek out what we can do to help you out. Now exactly how, I'm not exactly sure, but I think we could explore it and get creative and figure out a way to come alongside, undergird, uplift, and then partner with, and see our city benefit greatly as a result of all of us working collaboratively, collectively together for the betterment of good of Oroville and all of its citizens, from the haves to the have-nots. Okay.
Councilman Johnstone is in the queue.
I don't know if I can even,
Just do you.
I'm not as eloquent as Sean is, but I too want to thank you for coming and sharing your heart. Obviously, Hope on Wheels is an organization and a community resource that is greatly needed and does wonderful things. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that is involved with it. It is a starting point, right, for some of our most vulnerable population. It's a starting point for them to start just feeling better about themselves. And then once they start feeling better about themselves, and then they can start receiving some of the wraparound services. And then there's so many different community partners that want to work with them, right? So it's a community environment. It's community working with community. And so I too want to see options that we can partner with you guys. I don't know what we have available, what type of grants or funding of any, I don't know. So I'm on board with Sean. Thank you for sharing your hearts.
Vice Mayor Smith is in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. So Kevin, I don't know if you know this or not, Pastor, I still have my Class B passenger bus driver's license. I used to pick up homeless with my bus and bring them to my facility and feed them, clothe them. So you're kind of preaching to the choir a little bit. So you have a lot of support, I think, up here in spirit. And collaborative, as you know, is so important, working with our other agencies. I appreciate Pastor Josh and the other agencies that we have here locally. And I think this has spurred the conversation of, as you know, we're looking into the future. You know, we've had a lot of conversation getting, of course, the Esperanza project going, and it's well funded, and we have a lot of hope, to borrow that word once again, for us to be able to meet those, real felt needs. And the tremendous testimonies here go without saying as to, what impact such small, seemingly small gestures go into making a tremendous difference. I've personally witnessed it. I've personally participated in that. So along with what Councilman Weber has expressed, and I think the balance of the council, not to speak for each one of them, but it's coming together and then finding pathways collaboratively as to how we can fund it. Moving forward, there are certainly some challenges. Even recently, as a council, just looking into the future with the budget and meeting those budget challenges, and so that how we can collectively, moving forward, meet those needs. Coming together with the Hope Center or with the mission and yourself, I think collectively as a community that we can, hit those felt needs and make a difference in the lives of people. I think at the end of the day, that's what we want to see. That it takes a village, right? And so I obviously more conversation and then seeking out the potential funding sources and whatnot, I think is certainly in order. So And I know there's perhaps other council folks here to speak to this, but in general, I'd like to see us to have that conversation, have a collaboration of the various organizations that we already have a relationship with, and then how we can, work with you into the future.
Councilman Goodson is up next in the queue.
Wow. Thank you for your testimonies, for the presentations. They're heartfelt. They're not just inspiring. These are real. These are real life situations. And not a day goes by when we don't see it, when we don't, I represent District E, South Side. So we see a lot of this. I live it, I breathe it, I sleep it. It creeps into my dreams. Grocery carts going by and the homeless. So I understand, but I also wear this hat as well. And so when we look at concerns that are brought before us, we cannot weigh in on emotion. We weigh in on facts. And for those of you who are not aware of what Pastor David Goodson had brought forth in regards to the city, this was a vision of the Thompsons. It was well thought out. And it tugged at their heartstrings. Pastor Kevin came to the city a number of years ago. I believe I was the only one sitting on this dais when there were 5 of us that voted in RDA monies to support that vision and gave $175,000 to make this dream come true. So this isn't the first time that we have heard the voice of the community in regards to this project. But now you're coming again. And so when you sit on this side, if you notice each council member that has weighed in, we have weighed in regards to, we want to continue the partnership. What does that look like? Grant funding. This is how much of our city survives. We not only survive, but we thrive through grant funding. And so we will look at this. We will take each, because this is recorded. We will see this, and we will come together and figure out how we can do this, how we can sustain it, what is fiscally responsible. But the one thing I want to let you know, our general fund dollars are for emergencies. They are to sustain a city in a time of crisis. If you can only imagine, and I'm not going to even give you a figure every 2 weeks, what it takes to pay our salaried staff every 2 weeks out of that general fund. But know that we will do whatever it takes to support, to assist, to come along. Whether that be federal and state funding, whether it be nonprofit fundings, private, we will do what is necessary. We will stand behind you. And it does take a village. I hope that helps.
Councilman Weber's in the queue.
Very much. I just wanted to briefly add that I just wanted to say hang in there on the heels of what Council Member Goodson just said, because hang in there, okay? It may not happen like you guys wanted it to this second, but this is a great start to a conversation, and I think that there is ample opportunity, and the services provided check a lot of boxes along with the other great partners you have in the community already, and I think that this is a great opportunity to go out and look for those things, and so I just want to say hang in there, okay? This is the beginning of a good conversation, and I think we could go great places with it, okay?
All right. I'm next in the queue. I can speak now? Thank you.
We'll let you.
One of the interesting things about grant applications are the text. But what's even better, the video. You all here came tonight, and I will almost guarantee you that the video of you all presenting your cases will be part of that grant application. So thank you. Thank you for your time and efforts, because it takes a lot of work to get anything done in government at all. And we have a fantastic staff right now. We have a good council. Those are good combinations. I see, probably by consensus, that we see the need to develop a partnership. Definitely go down the lines of maybe hiring a specific grant writer or use one of our own, one that we have. I'm sure staff can look at a lot of them. We've been very successful with the Esperanza project, and maybe we can spin off of that. Certainly partner agencies, we're open door to partnering anything and everything. We are partnering almost everything we do in this city, from water to roads to just about anything. And I just want to thank you all for coming, because that will be part of the grant application. Your time here is very valuable. We appreciate that, and it's all recorded, folks. So we won't lose the tape, and I'm sure we'll use it as part of the applications that we may look forward to. We should also mention, I'll let the city administrator mention, we have a whole schedule of meetings next week with, I'll let him tell the story, if you will, Brian.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. We contracted with a state and federal lobbyist at the last council meeting, which has been something we've been wanting to do for quite some time, and we're actually scheduling meetings with them next week to establish what the council's priorities are, what department heads' priorities are and goals, not from just a legislative perspective, but an advocacy and try to get funding. So those meetings will start next week. So we're starting to, again, build relationships, and that's what it takes.
It'll be our representatives in Sacramento and Washington to work on these topics, and I applaud this council for hiring those lobbyists to actually get down and work the back rooms of all the places in the capitals, state and federal both, because there's no reason why we shouldn't be as good as everyone else to get some of this grant funding. Okay, any other questions here? Oh, Councilman Reynolds, please, in your queue.
I want to thank everyone for coming, all of your stories. It's a wonderful program. I don't think anybody can denigrate that or speak against it. It provides essential services, and I appreciate those with the hearts to serve. And I think if you listen to people's words, I think you heard it in all of the council speakers, that the partnering with the city is not the path, not the avenue, but helping you with a funding process could be part of our path forward. See, what goes along with the city, once you throw that word partnership in there, then you throw liability in there. And liability is burdened by the whole city, not just a certain group that needs a certain service. So we have to think of the whole city when we're thinking liability. And I was here, Pastor Thompson, when things started, and I remember the city seal going on the first trailer, and it came back off because of liability. So I'm for your program. I support you 100%. You and I have had many conversations. But us up here, we have a responsibility to the whole city. So I am for working for a path forward to assist you in finding your funding. But I can't support a partnership for the city, because that's not what we're here to do. So thank you for coming. You're always a joy to speak with and spend time with. Once again, you have assembled your masses, and really appreciate the support that you have in your program. But I'm looking forward to seeing what some of the ideas are on this council to help you move forward, sir. Thank you.
Thank you all. Any other comments? Am I getting another, oh, Vice Mayor Smith is in the queue.
Yeah, just to
Sorry, didn't
dovetail off
come up.
of Councilman Reynolds' comments when it comes to those key partnerships. And one of the things I think that's just amazing in Oroville is really developing, and that is the collaborative partnerships that is being worked out within the nonprofits. And we've had several speak here on your behalf tonight. And so I would just, and so how the city can come alongside and help facilitate and to find pathways for funding. But I think just to encourage that networking of the various nonprofits that we have that are meeting those real needs on the ground is super vital. And so as we as a community work, hand in hand together, I just think that we'll just see a greater level of effectiveness and more stories like we heard here tonight. I mean, just amazing stories of transformation and lives restored and becoming productive members of our community, I think is just amazing. And so the more that we can collaborate and work together, the more effective we'll be as a community, in its entirety. So we will certainly definitely want to come alongside and facilitate that. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is coming up here in just a minute. Let you all depart.
This was tough. We knew it was going to be tough.
Yeah.
And I just really want to appreciate you for coming out of the queue first to set this chips. No, really.
Well, and we all know.
Oh, boy.
And Chuck reminded
He did.
we took the city seal off because
Out the crowd. Oh. Okay. Get back to order now. Thank you all. Next item up is public communication hearing and non-agenda items. Do we have any speaker cards?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. We'll begin with the cameraman and follow that with Brian Williams.
Welcome.
Good evening, Oroville City Council. Quite the presentation we just had. I'll briefly just say, in regards to liability, I understand the standpoint, but on the other hand, it's like, to be innovative, you got to look past liability. I mean, I understand the concerns, but we didn't get to placing a man on the moon by saying, well, if we put some guy in this contraption we're about to blow up into the air, he may get killed or some other thing, and we might be sued and we might be liable. So just a little food for thought. I mean, it's helping people help themselves to help, each other. There shouldn't be, first thing is liability. But anyways, I'd like to talk about finally a matter I've gotten some closure on, a public records request that took so long to finally get a response from. Actually, Council Member Reynolds was actually Mayor Reynolds, then came off the council, and now is back on the council. It took so long to get a response. And that was basically we don't have any records, try the DA's office. And so I tried the DA's office expecting they're going to have something from 4 years ago, and I got a lovely letter from Mr. Mark Murphy, the Chief Deputy District Attorney, Mike Ramsey's second in command, and basically he just legal vomited all over me and just gobbledygooked a whole bunch of codes and basically said, we're not going to provide you anything. Not that I really expected them to have records almost 4 years ago, but it just rambled into, criminal history, probation reports, court reporter transcripts. I mean, I wouldn't even be public records requesting a court reporter transcript from the DA's office. That's what the court's for. I mean, just a whole long, vomit of, denial. And it's really sad is, it took 4 years basically to find out that there's no records. And even if there were records, there's not any anymore. And it's just that, the ball was really dropped on this. This should have never have taken this long to finally get a final conclusion on this. And just, going forward, records have been so far good. I'm having good responses. Things have been good. But just, this should never, ever, ever again happen to any member of the public getting basically passed around like this. And it shouldn't even take 4 years to get a response. Thank you.
Next.
Up next, we have Brian Williams, followed by Bill Spear.
Mayor, Council, thank you. I'm going to dovetail on his, but I'm only waiting a month. I put a public records request in the middle of December, and I've gotten nothing but the automated response from the system. So I'm kind of trying to figure out who to reach out to further that assistance along. Secondly, I want to follow back with you, Fred, on the lights at Bedrock. Are we getting anywhere from what you mentioned last time I spoke with you? And then I think this is also very important. The report that you said is going to be made public, when and where can we find that?
I don't have the information about that.
When it's available, so can you reach out to me when you know? Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
And
Brian.
who on the public records request, because I've left messages, I send emails on the, yeah, okay, so I left a message today, so, okay, thank you, guys.
We have Bill Spear.
Welcome, Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council. Verse of the day is Psalms 119:11, says your word I have hidden in my heart that I might not sin against you. I really love that verse. It's gives me conviction a lot. We all fall short, and find myself repenting all the time, that we get that word in our heart, and it helps get us on forward. Especially after the election seasons, everyone gets all heated, and we're repenting and trying to do better for next one. But we keep that word in our heart, and so I just want to pray. Father, we thank you for your word that does not return void, but accomplishes what you have sent it forth to do. We thank you for putting it in our heart to help us to not sin and not miss the mark. And we thank you for the city council, Lord, for all those who serve in our city. We thank you for all the testimonies this evening, for Haven of Hope on Wheels and the Hope Center, and all the different organizations who are about your business, with your word in their hearts to make our community a better place. We pray that you would continue in this new year to let your word be that plumb line that guides us and directs us, that keeps us from going to the left or to the right, that keeps us on that narrow path to you. We thank you that we are not without hope. And as one of the council members cited this evening, and hope does not disappoint us, because you have poured out your love into our hearts by your Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Is that it?
I have, sir.
All right. Thank you all. Moving next to council announcements and reports. Councilman Weber's up.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say for everybody that came, for everybody on this dais that attended last week's Oroville Community Development Coalition meeting, the Vision for Oroville 2025 presentation that we did. Just so thankful that you all came and so thankful that everybody that attended, because it was a great attendance and a lot of energy in the room, projecting where we could go as a community when we work in solidarity and together. Also yesterday was Martin Luther King Day. And so I wanted to thank you, Council Member Goodson, for the presentation and the celebration that we did over at the Southside Community Center. It was an excellent presentation, celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's worth repeating that he is definitely one of my early childhood inspirations for some of the philosophical drivers that I employ today. And so I'm super grateful for that. And then, of course, we have a new president. So I pray blessings over our new president and his efforts to lead our country as we segue from one administration to the next. And then, Fred, I got a question for you, too, because I'm very interested in the park as well. And so I was just hoping I'm hoping soon we could get like a timeline of what we got, because my constituents, they want to know about that park.
Sure. If we were talking about Bedrock, I got a couple of things. So our first preliminary design from Melton actually came through last week, at the end of the week, I believe on Friday. Engineering's actually looking at it to send it back with comments for phase one. That would be irrigation, getting electrical restored, and to probably deal with the burnt footprint over there at the former bathrooms, what we're going to do with that. So I'm hoping to have a little bit better information for you at the next city council meeting. As far as Feather River and lighting up the levee over there, we're trying to think outside the box here, because copper theft is a very real thing, and electrical lighting is very expensive. And we're looking at possibly bringing some solar lighting over there. Been working with Feather River and a few different solar light contractors. It's not the little garden light solar. These are high-powered, focused street light and floodlights. We're working with Feather River very closely on that, and I should have an update on that, hopefully next council meeting. Kind of going back and forth on some of the pricing on that. So to answer your question, Brian, yes, we are moving forward, and we're trying to keep this a green, sustainable thing using solar power. It eliminates copper theft and a few other things, and they're guaranteed for 10 years. So there'll be more on that, but that's kind of where we are with Bedrock.
Okay. Would you email me, or because I'm not going to be here for next meeting? So if you come with the presentation next meeting, which I hope you do, but
Yes. I'll have more information, and if we're going to move forward in that direction, I'll definitely have this. I'll have the solar contractor actually come in and do a presentation so you guys can actually see it. It's really exciting, and I want to hold back a little bit because my excitement is really high on this level, and I've been blowing Brian up on it a little bit, so I have some pretty big ideas for it. So.
and to kind of piggyback off that too, how's it going with the Hewitt Park?
I believe we have comments coming back on that very soon as well. Let me check with engineering, because I did not have that in my notes, unfortunately, for tonight. So
Thank you.
I'll have a better idea for you tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Vice Mayor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This isn't a direct council responsibility, but I think it's an interest to everyone here. This past weekend, I was in Sacramento at the International Sportsman's Expo. There was between 30 and 40,000 folks there. We had a booth, an Oroville booth there, just expressing that this is a place to come and spend your recreation dollars to have an amazing experience on our lakes, our waterways, camping facilities, and all the things that Oroville and the greater Butte County has to offer. And as always, regardless of how we might feel about ourselves, from the outside looking in, people love Oroville. They really do. I always get positive comments and reviews about Oroville being an amazing place, a place where as a family, as a community, we came to Oroville and we spent, our family vacation there, and we had such a wonderful time. So over and over again, I get these amazing stories from people that have such a positive and warm feeling for our community. And so we just need to work on ourselves. And I think that and I think we are. I think that what Councilman Weber's doing, OCDC, is amazing. All these different pieces working collaboratively together, moving the ball forward. And so for me, it's just personally endearing and encouraging and such a positive experience. So when I'm down there hearing about all those wonderful accolades, I come back thinking, man, we just need to hit the ground running, and we need to just change the narrative about how we talk about ourselves, because we degrade ourselves more than we really should be. Yeah, thank you.
That's a good point.
It's like Councilman Goodson.
Yes, yes. Councilman Weber stole my thunder, but that's all right. We, annually, we put on a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Program, and it is a celebration. It truly is. And we always have it at the Southside Center. Pastor Kevin is the director of that facility. And we drew approximately, it was a record number, crowd, approximately 300 attendees. Our event, it was themed Cultivating Courage, We're Not Going Back. And so it was just aimed, as always, our keynote speakers, they aim to inspire the community to continue to strive for justice, equality, and unity. We start out 8 a.m. with the pancake breakfast, followed by a program that includes awarding this year. We really outdid ourselves. Ordinarily, we award 10 high school students that are seniors and college bound, $500 each, scholarships and laptop computers. We got a lot of applications, and it was really difficult, but we ended up awarding 12 of those students, and then partnered with Chico State University came alongside of us. President Steve Perez and some of his colleagues were there, and anybody that was going to advance their academics to Chico State and Butte College, they gave an additional $1,000. So that was,
very nice.
So it's always heartwarming to see the community come out and to support our youth and just to honor Dr. King's legacy. So for all of those that attended, and I'm inviting you to come next year. Shout out to Jordan's Crossing. I had no idea that Jordan's Crossing has provided the wait staff for the breakfast and tear down in over 22 years. Thank you so much for your service.
let's go.
Pastor Bill Spirit.
All right. Okay, I don't see any more councilmen. Administration reports.
Can I go first?
Yes.
Perfect. I just wanted to piggyback on the cameraman and Brian Williams' comments regarding PRA requests. So I wanted to let the council know we have now been using Next Request for 1 full year. I wanted to also update you and let you know there are certain instances in which we do have, legally we have 10 days to respond to a typical PRA request. There are certain instances in which we do have the capability of having an extension happen. Some of those reasons include open and active ongoing investigations, records pertaining to minors, things of that nature. Our assistant city attorney is happy to elaborate on that if you'd like. Additionally, I'm happy to sit down with you to go over that. But with that, I'd like to lead you with some statistics since we are closing out our first year. With that being said, we have in this 1 year received 284 Public Record Act requests. Of that 284, 266 have been closed. 18 of them are open. Typically, it takes us an average of 7.1 business days to respond to a request. And of those requests, 631 documents have been released to the public and downloaded for public consumption.
Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good information.
All right. Who else?
I have a quick one.
Oh.
You may have seen in the paper or on the news today that the 311 program was announced. So I had given that story ahead of time because the reporter was going to be out of town, and I didn't follow up with to say that we were pulling it. So I pulled it for I want to give the vendor enough time to vet our agreement. So that's going to come to the council at the next meeting.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, who's next? Look
I'll
around the
go.
room.
I'll go real quick.
Okay.
We have a couple quick updates from Cal Water, just for folks. I think I want the community to be aware of this. Every 3 years they have to submit their capital improvements to the CPUC, and then ultimately that determines what their rates are going to be based upon the cost of those funding improvements. So that is going on right now. They are anticipating rate increases, but there are going to be opportunities for the public to voice their opinions on this. And that's Thursday, January 23rd. So that's this week, this Thursday, at 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. And we do have the links on our website for those if you wish to go on there and see and participate. I believe they have Zoom links on there. It's item number 5 on our agenda under the correspondence section. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We can share that with you or help you find that on the agenda if you do wish to participate in that. Also, met with Lonnie from Cal Water last week. They are moving forward with discontinuing fluoride within the city water. So that's going to happen here.
Yeah.
It is going to take, I think, about a month or so to wean the fluoride out of the system. They have to be very careful how they do that, but they are moving forward with that, and I think they anticipate that being done by April. So that's moving forward. Mentioned the meetings with federal and state lobbyists, and then just wanted to put on everyone's radar, Chinese New Year celebration, April 1st, 11 to 2 at the Chinese temple with the dancers,
Say
I think.
April 1st?
April.
That's February 1st.
February 1st.
From
Did I say
11
April?
to 2.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
February
All right.
1st, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for catching that.
All right.
Yes, that's all I have.
Any other department heads? Fred?
I've got a quick download. I've got 6 points I'd like to touch with everybody. First of all, number 1, our CMMS contract. Since you guys approved it, yay. We're looking at about a 45-day stand-up where we're going to start testing and integrating with our staff, so that's really exciting. Our lot house RFP closed today, and we got several contractors that have bidded for it for the painting and the dry rot and to save the outside of the structure to make it watertight. So that's really exciting. I'm really happy with this one. What I'm about to say is the Cal Oak new courtyard, the RFP got published on public purchase today. And thank you, David Ritchie. It's been a heavy lift over the last several months, and thank you for giving the input and turn around quickly on that. So that's going to close on March 3rd, so we're hoping to come back early April with some numbers, roll figures, and what we can actually get done with those numbers. Number 5 is decorative fence. I've talked to a couple of the local contractors for the Table Mountain, and I'm hoping to come back in early February with maybe some mocked up potential fencing that we can maybe put up there on Table Mountain, so TBD on that one. And item last, project, the Highway 162 project is scheduled to be wrapped up by February 18. So the majority of the work has been done down the corridor. Foothill and Olive Highway, that's still in progress. We're working on some of that this week, and we're going to be removing some concrete and pouring some new concrete in. But I'll give more details at the next council meeting on that as well. One item last is our pavement management system that we got approved by the city council. We're looking at the second council meeting in February, a presentation of what the actual PMP does for us, what our score looks like, our condition as a whole, as our roadways, and we can start actually planning capital outlays and planning projects for the road. So that's what I have for now. Thanks.
Who's up next? Chief Wines.
I guess I can go if I can figure this out. First off, Madam Clerk, thank you. You heard my plea for help, and I got a booster chair so I can see up over this thing now, so I appreciate that.
I didn't even know he was over there.
I hide down here, yeah. If I hit this button, I'll completely disappear. So just some updates on some initial stuff. We are upgrading to a Citizens RIM 2.0. RIMS is our data management system that we have, a record management system. We had a forward-facing, but it was very convoluted for users to use. And so it's now being updated to a more user-friendly, and it also allows an option for the user to submit comments and requests to the PD. Again, in an attempt to start opening up lines of communication and get a better flow with the people. And so that should be coming online in the next couple of months. We'll try to roll out some training so people can understand how to use that better.
Good.
We had a couple of graduates from the academy, and we just pushed them right into service without a proper swearing in. So we're looking at doing a time when we can swear these two gentlemen in. We really encourage the community to come out because these are men from the community. These are not outside folks that you didn't, they grew up here. And so it's important for the community to know that a lot of these cops that you see are members of your community. And so it's important to them to get this line of communication open. So we'll be posting that up as soon as we can get a time to get that, and we'll be doing it right here.
Okay.
Two excellent young men. National Night Out recognition. The National Night Out back in August was a tremendous success. It led to the first ever national recognition that the city has received. So excellent work before my time, obvious, but some good work there and something we hope to continue with. It was just an absolute collaborative event that made that such a success. And so we would like to have more opportunities to do that, and we'll keep you posted on those. Flock cameras, deployment and performance. Obviously cameras can be a touchy subject along with a lot of people, but what it does is allows a lot more eyes when we have an issue. It's not that we're watching all the time, it's when an issue is already presented to us. So for instance, in December 24 alone, we had 430 what's called hot list alerts. There's information that was placed in the system, be on the lookout. Over 200 were relating to stolen vehicles or stolen license plates off of vehicles. We had 60 alerts based on felony crimes that were actively being committed. And in addition, just in the last couple of weeks, we had a kidnapping, which using our flock in conjunction with Shasta County, we were able to apprehend the person in about 2 hours. So
Excellent.
that's the kind of
That's
things
cool.
that is very beneficial. And we'll be talking about potential enhancement with other cameras as well to promote safety and security in the Oroville community. Finally, on January 29th, at 8:30 to 10 o'clock, I'll be hosting a coffee with the chief. So please come on down and enjoy some coffee and start talking.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Can you repeat that date and time, please?
January 29th, I'm sorry, January 29th, 30 to 10 at Mug Shop.
Belser's okay. Patrick's already done? Or you got more? Nope. Amy?
I don't actually have an official report. I just wanted to let you know that my December monthly report is in your agenda, in your packet.
You might mention tomorrow's grand opening.
Also, we're having a grand opening for Lincoln Street Family Apartments at 10 a.m. If you would like to join, it's going to be fun. They're going to have entertainment and food there.
Oh, okay.
And the mayor will be speaking briefly.
Uh-oh.
Briefly.
Briefly?
Briefly?
We did hear briefly.
Yeah, I heard briefly. Uh-huh. Ruth, anything? No? All right. Oh, Chris.
Just a quick update on our folks down south. They're still down there. They've officially, some of them have been officially released, but in preparation for the next coming wind event, we've kept a lot of resources down there. And the reason I mention is there's a lot of firefighters from all over California and out states, but specifically here in Butte County and also the city of Oroville, we have resources down there throughout the contract. So I just wanted to provide an update. They're doing well, and they appreciate the support, and hopefully they'll be home soon. End of report.
Everybody still locked on?
No, they released that after about 48 hours.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Weber, you're in the queue.
Fred, you reminded me about an oldie but a goodie that I was asking for a while, and then I forgot all about it when you talked about the lot home and the bids. And I was reminded that I was asking for us to work up a preferred local contractor preference ordinance. And so can we revisit that,
Okay, the ordinance, not the Cupco list, the local contract, yes.
Yeah, because of the lack of participation with some of our local contractors, and when we get, I'm going to try to incentivize our local contractors to bid on these projects. So
Sure.
we've got a lot of great contractors in this community that So you remember the conversation?
I do. It just so there's full transparency here. All the work that we've done so far at the Cal Oak Corporation Yard has been done by local in-town contractors. Even some of the work that we've done up at Mr. Diver's house, that was a actual contractor here in town. I've used almost pretty exclusively local contractors since I've been here, so I just want to be out there with that and to be very open about that. At the Lot House, the painting, that, I don't know what that scope, or I know what the scope looks like. I don't know who's actually applied for it and how that bidding's going to shake. I have a preference to local contractors as well. So to circle back, yes, we can work on that. And I try to make that my first choice, to use local contractors first, because if we're paying prevailing wage to local contractors, that means local families are doing better. And that
Sure,
tax
if they
dollars
meet
does
all the
come back to the
requirements,
city,
right?
absolutely. So, yeah.
Okay.
Try to be
Thank
very
you.
aware of that. Sure.
All done with that? Looking around the room? Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was thinking about putting out a banking RFP pretty soon, so I'll be bringing that back to you at some point.
Okay, cool, thank you. All right, then the next item looks to be consent calendar. You have something on the consent calendar to deal with?
You know what, I know there's going to be some recusals on number 6, and I'm not sure if number 5 is.
5, I'd like to pull 5.
So maybe if we pull 5
I'd
and
like
6.
to pull one.
5 and 6, and we just vote on 2, 3, and 4? Yeah, pull 1, 5, and 6, is that?
1, 5, and 6. All right, with 1, 5, and 6 pulled,
I'll motion.
I'll second.
call roll.
Consent calendar items 2, 4,
2, 3, and 4.
oh, thank you. Passed with a vote of 6-1.
Okay. So let's start with item 1 then.
This Chief Wines.
Yes. LDT
Good
camera.
evening, Chief. So I'm glad this item has resurfaced, because I believe our contract is up. So when this was brought forth last year, I didn't explore other options. It was just phenomenal. And since we have utilized this, it's been great. Downtown, crime rate, automobiles that have been broken into, Lyman's College. It's has really been worth the price tag. But circling back around, I was just wondering if there had been any consideration of a solar-powered mobile security trailer. And I believe this would be a more sustainable cost saving option. So I just want to know your thoughts.
So an individual trailer, whether solar powered or otherwise, I don't see as a long-term successful program because it's so limited in use.
Not even this current one.
The current one's a great patch. I truly believe
Okay.
it is showing good results, but I'm looking at longer-term solutions that provide greater options throughout the city instead of a centralized location that moves from point to point.
Okay.
So I'm currently just talking with a couple of companies that provide very high-powered cameras that allow a lot of different features that for essentially the cost of an annual subscription, we could put fixed-mounted cameras in a lot different locations that then don't have annual costs to operate. And the maintenance is not something that the maintenance is not really particular an issue. So we'll be doing a walkthrough soon, February 3rd with the company to start get some ideas of what we can pursue for long-term longevity. But the trailer itself, it is a good tool. It's just an expensive tool, as are usually most patches.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for being proactive on this and looking at other options.
If you'd like me to pursue solar options, I would be more than happy to do so.
Just the best option.
Understood.
Yeah. Councilman Reynolds, cute.
Yeah, I wanted to speak on this item because the trailer, it is very effective when it's in that area. But as soon as you move it, the criminals they're not criminals because they're dumb. They're a lot of them are paying attention. And when that trailer gets moved, so does their point of interest. We do have a local contractor who is, I believe, responsible for the design of that. He holds many patents in security surveillance. And speaking about local contractors, he actually supplied security in 17 different countries with 3,000 employees, but he lives here. And he supplies all of the missions in the state of California with security. He donates it to them. And I know that he offered to donate a few years ago to the city, but it wasn't pursued because we were actually trying to lay the foundation for everything that's established today, and there was a lot going on. So I would recommend getting a hold of him, and at least for a discussion and an opportunity to give you some ideas, because I know that he offered to do that for the city. So, and I know that we're past this, and I'm going to go ahead. I want to speak to you about Bedrock, though, when we can. We're past it now.
Okay.
But can I speak to you later? I haven't met you yet, but
Yes. If you'd like to carve some time out, sure.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we have our comments on item 1. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we proceed as follows.
Call roll, please, on item 1.
Motion passes 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Next item was it 3?
Number 5.
Oh, 5, excuse me. Yep, 5.
And I made that request.
Okay.
So if I may, in the spirit of the earlier presentation, when it comes to finding ways to assist the nonprofits and being effective, given this is a legal request, Mr. Attorney, Mr. Ritchie, and that would be, I know, just to back up for a moment, we've helped some of the other, not like the Hope Center, I believe. We moved some of our surplus equipment, a dump truck, and some other equipment in the past, and it was, I know, a big help and benefit. So then maybe in a small way, if we can, with this surplus equipment, make it available, offer it to, and I would be looking for other input from the council on this, but how that before we put this out to the general public, is it legal? Can we do that? And can we help the nonprofits with this equipment? Is it sell it for $1 or allow them to bid on it first? And maybe help unpack that a little bit, but this may be a small way to help.
Sure. So without speaking specifically to any of the particular items, I will say that cities have a broad range of power with respect to how they decide to dispose of surplus property. And if your preference is to look to nonprofits and so on to assist them in a way by providing some of the surplus items, then that is permissible.
Mr. Mayor, I do want to note we do have a public comment on this item.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to take that now?
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it.
Bill Spear?
Yeah, I was looking over the list of the excess equipment, and with our vocational training, it would be tremendous help for us. We've been serving in Oroville for a lot of years, and I think it would be a benefit for the city also, because the equipment would still be being used in service of the city, and I think it would be more of a benefit than just selling it at auction. Whatever that would bring in, it would be continuing to do cleaning up, continuing to do vocational training, and helping our organization tremendously to serve the city. I think it would be a tremendously more of a benefit to help some of the nonprofits be
Locally.
equipped with resources to make a difference. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, Councilman Reynolds, you still on? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Go on.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Got me on a roll. There was a truck that was purchased by the fire department, I believe in 1974, was it? Mayor Pittman?
Yeah.
And is it still there?
Yes, it is.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
The airport
'Cause
rescue truck, yes.
I know that a few years ago, it was parked out in back of the fire department, and then I seen it down at the Corporation Yard. And just out of curiosity, because I believe there's less than 3,000 miles on it, that was, we, out of curiosity, had put it out there to see what it could bring at auction. And I believe $80,000 was the price range for that pickup.
That's a very desirable truck because it is four-wheel drive. I have an opinion on that truck too, and I believe keeping it in the city inventory as a historical piece and to have it displayed potentially at the new fire station out by the airport is the appropriate use for that truck.
I think that's a good idea, but
And
I would
preserve it.
recommend putting it inside.
Yes, it typically is. It was used at the lighted parade, and we just haven't had the bandwidth. We've been parking at the new Corp Yard for over a year now, because that's one of my directions too. Keep it inside because the vinyl's in good shape, headliner's in great shape. It's a beautiful truck on the inside.
Yes.
We all know this.
Yeah, it's in
And the
perfect
only
shape.
and the only way to keep it that way is inside, and I'll make sure it's there by the end of the week, so,
Thank
if
you.
it hasn't been already moved.
Thank you.
Sure.
So
Okay, let's go back to item number 5.
just for clarification purposes, so that is not a part of this inventory?
No, the airport rescue truck is not part of the
All
auction,
right.
because I know people would step on
Councilman
themselves to buy it.
Reynolds was just asking about it, making sure it's still in our use. Okay.
Yeah. If anybody's gonna buy that thing first, it's gonna be me. I want that truck. As soon as I seen it, I was in love with it.
Well,
so-
it's got 4,200 miles now, so it.
Well, if you quit driving it, Mr. Mayor.
All right, so what Vice Mayor Smith, so what I'm hearing you say, basically, we could approve this item with, as number 2 says, approve their sales through the next available surplus auction or other approved method. If we added, to review with local nonprofits that may see value in those items, would that work?
They should
Or
get
or
first.
perhaps maybe we can create a very simplified process to where they can request that the city then, donates or sells for $1 to that particular nonprofit, but that, almost like a grant request. So we have surplus equipment. Then they could, a short form where they can make the case as to why it makes sense for us to then essentially donate that particular vehicle, like we've done with other nonprofits when they've made the case. But not arduous or, overtaxing, but something simple. Does that make sense?
Well, I think you just give staff the authority to seek out other nonprofits that may be interested, and leave it at that.
Yeah, we could send them the list, and ultimately,
Yeah.
we could establish a fair market value if you'd like, or if it's a nonprofit, we could sell it for $1.
Yeah.
It's
I think
council's
we
wishes.
just add that to the approved method, is say we'd like to have a list for nonprofits to review and comment and get back to us.
And then we'll do that, we can make that a process, we can do that before we come here, and then we'll throw them out there to nonprofits.
Yes.
See what's left, and then come here, because
There you
really,
go.
all the equipment that you see on there it's costing us more to keep it than it is
Sure,
to
sure.
dispose of it at this time.
I guess what I'm trying to avoid is a conflict where if you have two they're both vying for the same piece of equipment, then it's how you vet that out. That might be, that's what I was looking for in terms of helping with that process. But I understand what
Well, I
you're
think
saying.
that if you've got two that want it, you bring it to city council and we decide.
And there you go. And there goes back to my comment about it, something short, this is why we need this.
Okay. So if we amend that motion, then we can consider it for voting? You understand?
Yep.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for item number 5.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Second.
Call the roll.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Vote.
Vote.
So,
it's amended the way.
Yes.
so amend it, let me make sure, amend it to include that we reach out
Local
to
nonprofit.
to nonprofits
Right.
first.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, I will reopen that vote.
Okay, reopen the vote. Call the roll. Or the vote.
Motion passes 6 yeses and 1 absent.
All right. And the next one was item 6, is that correct?
Yeah, I need to recuse.
We
Yes,
need a couple
yes.
recusals, okay. Anyone, any comments about item 6? Other than the recusals, I guess I'll hear a motion to vote on it.
I move-
that we accept item number 6, authorization to award professional services agreement for Jen.
I'll second.
Call the roll.
Motion passes with 4 yeses, 1 absent,
Chris,
and
would you
2
invite him back in?
recusals.
Thank you. All right, now we're to regular business. Item number 7. Everybody seated?
Yes. Can you bring up the PowerPoint for that? Yeah, item number 7 is an introduction of an ordinance to amend subsection 13.3 of the Oroville Municipal Code implementing a community choice aggregation program with Pioneer Community Energy. As the council, most of you recall, we've had this discussion now for a number of months. The council gave staff direction to continue to work with Pioneer Community Energy to see if it's potentially a good fit. Pioneer is currently actively pursuing a relationship with the city of Oroville, city of Chico, town of Paradise, and the county. But let me just refresh everyone's memory a little bit on what the program is here. So, if I may. So again, a CCA, if you all recall, the currently the city of Oroville is part of Butte Choice Energy, which is a CCA with the city of Chico and the county, and it's been in place now for 6-7 years. And unfortunately, due to when the COVID hit, the credit market crashed and the energy market changed, and a lot of variables just made joining and starting up a new CCA not feasible. So again, the way CCA works is CCAs buy electricity directly from providers. They still use the infrastructure from the independent operator, which here is it's PG&E. And ultimately, the customers have a choice. The customers can purchase energy from that CCA, the community choice aggregator, or they can purchase it from the investor-owned utility, which is PG&E. Next slide, please. So again, background here, July 16th, council authorized the impacts assessment study, which again, that was a study that Pioneer did to see if taking on the customers within the city of Oroville would be financially feasible for them. October 1st, they came here and did a presentation. The expansion is to increase Pioneer's retail sales by 21%. Estimates right now are 7% savings compared to PG&E rates, and they've had a very high successful program here, 7, 8, 9, 10%. And also we have Lisa here with Pioneer if you have any questions. The study recommends launch in October of 2027, and again, it's a lengthy process. The PUC needs a full calendar year once that relationship is established and there's a decision to go live. They need a full calendar year. So we're doing the preliminary work in 2025. PUC will have all of 2026, and then we'll launch, ideally, if everything continues on, in 2027. And ideally, in the fall of 2027, and the reason for that is energy costs are so high in the summer months, this is the most financially feasible way to introduce new customers into the system. And Lisa can correct me if I screw any of this up. December 19th, Pioneer Board of Directors approved expansion efforts and the JPA amendments to include the city of Oroville. These are all the agencies that they're currently working with right now on expanding and including in the Pioneer. And again, as I mentioned, Butte County, Town of Paradise, City of Chico, and the City of Oroville, obviously, from Butte County. And this is kind of where the next steps, and this is where we're at there. If you look on the bottom right there, January to February, new member ordinance is adopted. So tonight is an amendment to the ordinance. And right now, the change here is that the ordinance that the council previously adopted was for Butte Choice Energy. So now it's going to reflect Pioneer Community Energy. Next slide, please. Okay. The idea now, this is to introduce this, receive any feedback, if there's any feedback from the community, from the council, and then we'll bring it back. We'll have it publicly noticed. We'll have a public hearing on February 18th, the second meeting in February. And then there'll also be 2 resolutions there. One resolution will be which we'll need to do first, to leave Butte Choice Energy. and then to join Pioneer Community Energy, and then adoption of the ordinance to actually change the ordinance to reflect Pioneer Community Energy. So there's a lot of moving parts. And with that, still doesn't lock the council in. If for some reason the council still, let's say something changes in April or May, I believe July 1st is kind of the drop dead deadline as far as the council making their decision. But these are the steps that need to be taken in order to put the city in place to join and move forward with Pioneer. I think that's, so the action requested is just to waive the first reading or provide any input if there is any input. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Lisa's happy to answer any questions from Pioneer.
Councilman Goodson's in the queue.
Good to see you back, Lisa. So I'm definitely in favor of facilitating our transition to Pioneer Community Energy, PCE. The transition will be a significant step towards our city having greater energy independence and sustainability. So I'm in full support of the staff's recommendation to move forward with changes to our city's municipal code.
Okay, Councilman Reynolds is in the queue.
Hi, Lisa. Mr. Administrator, have you spoken directly to these other municipalities and they've provided you with numbers of their savings?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Yep. We've had conference calls with them and really heard really positive feedback.
Okay. Great, that's all I need.
Not all of them. There's a number in there, but we had talks with a few.
I just remember doing this at my house about 15 years ago, not with this company, but there was a lot of projected savings, and it actually ended up with the PG&E bill and their cost.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that we're.
Yeah, and just to be clear, there still will be, the consumers still receive the bill from the investor-owned utility, which is PG&E, and because there's still going to be transmission costs and other fees associated with PG&E, but then the electrical purchase will be on there, a separate item, and that'll be with Pioneer. And they've had a tremendous amount of success. Frankly, they're probably one of the most successful CCAs that we've spoken with, because most of them have been seeing 2 to 3% rate reductions, and to see 7, 8, or 9%. And I think a lot of it, again, not to speak, but I think they have a tremendous amount of hydro electricity options, which has been very beneficial to their portfolio and making them so successful in their program. So it's all things considered, it seems like a great option.
Great.
I would like
Yeah.
to add that we are working with Brian Long on a biomass project, a large biomass project, and if that work, I mean, we definitely want to work with our local jurisdictions, and if there's opportunities for us to buy power, purchase power agreements in our local areas, that's what we want to do. And Brian's doing some phenomenal things right now with biomass, a 15-megawatt project, and so we're very interested in that and working with him. Since 2018, we've saved our customers over $108 million because we're a not-for-profit and we're a joint power support. At the table on our board. We'll
Great.
have the opportunity to voice your concerns about our rates. We change our rates up every year. So when we look at what PG&E is charging, we always want to save our customers money.
I'm a fan of the JPAs. Yeah, absolutely.
Councilman Weber's in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm extremely excited about the prospect of offering any sort of savings to our constituents. Every one of us in here pays the ever-increasing and overburdening price to have heat and power, whether it be gas or electricity in our house. I think we just paid our PG&E bill this morning, and I think it was $700 for the month, and mainly in natural gas. But this is a step in the right direction for us to be proactive in our approach to actually trying to take care of our constituency and offer them alternatives and solutions. I'm extremely happy about the relationship that you have built with the Wong family and that endeavor, and I'm excited to see what goes on there. And to also see, because that's a bigger picture stuff, right? It's not just a small picture. It's not just thinking about one house, right? It's thinking about a huge option that'll provide energy options for this community. Of course, we know that the lion's share of the bulk of what you pay in order to get your energy here is through transmission through the lines. PG&E owns them, right? And so looking at energy production, storage and distribution ideas right here in this community are exactly what excites me the most, because it takes the small things like I was talking about earlier, the micro to the macro. You can't get to the big if we focus on the small, right? And if we're focused on the individual house, then we're not focused on the bigger picture. We got to look at the whole thing. So I'm extremely excited. I joined Councilmember Goodson in her excitement as well, and we're thankful that, for this opportunity to see where this goes.
Mr. Mayor, we do have one public comment on this item as well.
All right. Vice Mayor Smith?
Yeah,
Go
thank
ahead.
you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just real brief. As you know, the JPAs, what makes them work is that collaborative dynamic. And so within the mission statement, because in looking at these programs, if you look at some of the JPAs in other jurisdictions, savings isn't so much the operative focus. It's more about, climate change, green stuff, green programming. So they actually, in some cases, will be more expensive. So given that this is, and you mentioned we have a seat at the table, is there an overarching mission of your JPA that all the partners, that it's more about the savings aspect? Because you mentioned hydro. Hydro, as you know, is not considered a sustainable energy source, which is weird to me. But so just maybe just briefly say, it's all about the folks. And then what would be that, let's say that changed into the future, where the mission, now it's more about maybe something different, and we're no longer that doesn't meet what meets our constituents' needs. It's important value first.
Well, I can tell you,
Come on up with you.
Yeah.
Lisa, welcome.
thank you. Well, I can tell you for sure, without question, our board of directors prioritizes ratepayer savings over anything else. We're an inland JPA, CCA, and you're absolutely correct. If we were in Berkeley or another CCA near there, their priorities are global warming and sustainability and going green, and it's not cost savings. And so our board of directors is committed to cost savings for our ratepayers. Obviously, saving $108 million since 2018 speaks for itself, but
No easy
I
feat.
want to reiterate that our board of directors is 100% focused on ratepayer savings.
Great. Yeah,
And
thank
Lisa,
you.
was there also an emphasis, I think I remember talking about, was alternative fuels like biomass? But there's a lot of discussion going on, I know, in the community about that, but I think that was something that also seemed like a nice fit.
We do have two products. So we have our standard plan, which has more renewable energy than PG&E, and it's cheaper. But then we also have a 100% renewable energy plan. And for those cities and counties that have global warming and other state mandated goals, it's 100%. And it's still cheaper than PG&E's rate plan. So just letting you know, we do look at the renewable energy. We have a power content label that lists where we get all of our energy from. And that's something that we've provided in the past, so you can take a look at that. That was part of our presentation. But we use a number of renewable energies, including biomass, which is one of our key areas that we look at for renewable energy, biomass. And for inland communities, it's important, so.
Yeah.
Okay, who was the card?
We have the one speaker from David Goodson.
Okay.
So I did a little bit of quick research on Pioneer Community Energy. And here's the question that I would ask is that, has the council seen a presentation of bills comparable that would be side by side, PG&E customer, and then versus those that go to Pioneer? And then secondly, with Pacific Gas and Electric Company, you have you have a certain number of users or consumers of their service that have medical, what they call medical baseline, and then you also have the care program, and that provides a discount of services on both your gas and your electric for the users. And so my question is that I didn't have enough time while I was here to read all the way and drill down. Pioneer does have, they do make accommodation for solar too, if you have solar panels and the net metering aspect of that. But I would say that, and it is a choice, if I understand right, one is not forced to change over to what the city would recommend. You have a choice, right? Customers still have a choice, whether they want Pioneer or PG&E.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's always very important. But I would say that if you're not aware of, if you look at the number of low-income individuals that we have within our city, the majority of those individuals would probably be eligible for the discounts that PG&E offers. So my question is, and Lisa, do you all carry those discounts? Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, David. I'll just go ahead and answer that. So have made it very clear that those programs, the FARA, Medical Baseline, and CARE, those are state programs, and those all transfer over if you are a Pioneer customer. So it's seamless. It's not a PG&E program. They help
state-funded.
administer it, but it's state program.
Good question.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for the
Great
answer.
question. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Do we need to vote to waive the first
Any other
reading?
cards? No more public cards?
No, no,
Okay.
sir.
Council,
I
what's your
move-
options?
I move that we waive the first reading
Yes.
of the ordinance 1884.
Second.
Call the roll.
Motion passes, 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you all. Next item, number 8, priority dispatching for the fire department. Mr. Tenz, Chief Tenz.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. The fire department is and has been experiencing a significant rise in call volume. You've heard me probably mention that several times in my stat reports every year. Averaging 20-plus calls a day, totaling well over 6,000 by far. One of the busiest engines in the county and probably in the top 30 in the nation. To help manage this, staff proposes implementing priority dispatching for non-urgent calls from skilled nursing and doctors' facilities, directing solely to the county ambulance provider. This would reduce call volume by several hundred annually, allowing fire engines to focus on urgent emergencies while easing the strain on city, county, and state resources. Also, the local ambulance provider is on board with this, and I've been grappling for years since I've led this department on reducing the call volumes, and this is one of those steps to get us there. And basically what I'm proposing is those non-urgent calls where somebody goes in that does not have a life-threatening emergency, and they go see their doctor or whoever the nurse practitioner or whoever, and they go there and the doctor goes, well, all I have is a blood pressure machine and some oxygen. You need to go to the emergency room. And basically what that does is that activates the 911 system. And then we are deployed with an ambulance company. We would go there and meet with a nurse or doctor and get a patient rundown from them and then transfer patient care over to the ambulance company who would then transport that patient to the emergency room to receive the proper care. So what this does is this doesn't take us out of a system from responding to calls. This takes us out of responding to doctor's offices on those non-urgent medicals, where essentially the patient just needs to be transported to the hospital. And this isn't going to trickle over to any residences or anything like that. This is where medical professionals are at scene, and with those certain criterias of our EMD dispatchers who are trained to ask those trigger questions to be able to identify if this is an urgent emergency or not. And they'll screen those for us. And if it is a true emergency, it's a cardiac arrest or something, we're absolutely going to respond code 3 lights and sirens and get there as fast as we can to help out. But these are, or in the event that an ambulance is delayed, we would still send an engine to make sure that we're there, with the patient in the meantime. So it's just reducing some of those calls that aren't necessary really for us to be there, and there's probably 3 or 4, maybe 500 of those calls every year.
Councilman Goodson's got a question.
Yes, I have a couple. So anytime there's a change, there's glitches, potential glitches in the system. So if this is approved and we're going to transition into a new dispatch system, it's going to require additional training and adjustments for the dispatchers and first responders. So I'm just curious what do you have an idea what the impact will be during this training time? How that will affect response times and efficiency? And number two, because you can do this, you multitask, public perception. When our residents, they might perceive the prioritization of calls as, wait a minute, that's going to be a reduction in service. And there's going to be times when there's a non-emergency call that requires immediate attention. So how do you navigate that?
So all of our so there's different protocols, and our dispatchers are they're EMDs, so they're basically like EMTs over the phone, and they pull up a protocol and they'll read down those questions, and that's how they'll screen the call initially. And also, they will be talking to a medical professional, not necessarily the patient, so they'll be able to kind of get that in-depth rundown of what's going on with the patient. So the training's there, the system's there, it's new. There's other fire departments that use this as well. We haven't turned it on, but also the local medical authorities also signed off on this as well. So like I said, we're still gonna go if it's needed. So if they go in there having chest pain, we're still gonna respond. So the training's there, the cards are there, and really they're reading from a computer screen and they're checking off the signs and symptoms that the patient is presenting. And then they'll act based off that. And we do that now, and how we do it is it's a code 3 or code 2 run now. So now we're screening, we're asking a lot of these similar questions. And if it doesn't seem imminent, then we're not gonna go lights and sirens, to this call. We're gonna go code 2 and mellow. But we're committed to that call. This would leave our resources available for the more urgent calls.
So it's kind of like a police officer versus an MLE?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, realistically, I've been on these calls. These are transport calls. These are somebody that needs to go to the ER. They're stable, but they might need, X-rays or something that the doctor's office just doesn't have.
Okay.
So it's very, very low priority, like very, very low. And right now we're treating them as high priority.
High
We're going lights
priority.
and sirens,
Okay.
code
I
3.
got it.
We're getting there, and a lot of times because the doctor's office are across the street from the emergency room, we're literally almost walking them across the parking lot at times. And it's necessary. They do need to go, but I think if we take the fire engine out of some of these calls, it's just not necessary for us to be there. And the only reason I say this, and I've thought about this a lot, is they're in care of a medical professional at a higher level than they would receive from us already. We're really just there to transport them off. We're really not providing any care to these patients at all.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Smith is in the queue.
And you might have already kind of answered this, kind of dovetailing off Councilwoman Goodson's concern about reduced service or that perception. And so maybe you can even distill it down a little bit more. I dial 911, and I'm feeling faint, and I need help quick. And so typically, our fire service, there's no bill to that. But when the ambulance comes and they take me someplace, there's a fee, obviously a pretty high cost. So, and I don't know what that statistic is. You might have it in your head. So how often does the fire department show up and provide, some vitals and reassurance, and then it doesn't turn into a transportation? But now all of a sudden we're not showing up. and then that's the only option. And so people are conflicted with, I don't really think I need to go, but if I, and then so now they're hit with this big bill. And so therein lies maybe that potential for a reduction or perceived reduction of service, or maybe that's not a problem. Again, because I'm trying to absorb what you're saying and how that would work. But if that were to start working out its way into the real world where people are facing that confliction and then being saddled with a potentially large bill, I would see that people might see that as a reduction of service. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding it, or you can help me with that.
Well, we always encourage our patients to go to the hospital because in the field, we don't carry the necessary tools to really get in there and look. I mean, we ask our questions that we have to, we take our vitals, and even if we determine that the patient is stable, we're still going to advise them to go to the hospital. So we're constantly, I've never in my career in 22 years told, patient not to go to the hospital. We always advise. It's something we're trained as well. But if a citizen calls 911 for us, we're going to show up. Across the board. Now, if you're at a doctor's office and a doctor or a nurse calls for you, you might not see us, depending on the scenario. But if anyone in town and any residents, when they call 911 and they ask for us, we're coming.
Okay, great.
As fast as we can.
And that's where I wasn't. So yeah.
Yep.
I get it. Okay,
This is
I think
only-
that's fine.
I
I'm on
think-
board with this in that case.
I think there's like 5 addresses, 5 or 7. I don't remember. There's like maybe 7 addresses that this would apply to, and they're all attached to a medical professional. So they're
Like when
already
OPAC
receiving
calls
that.
and they need to go across the street.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I've been there, seen that.
Yep.
And you guys have shown up and probably didn't need to.
This is going
We're
to
all-
enhance services, I think. It's
Yeah, I
gonna
think it
have-
will.
They'll be available for urgent calls now instead of responding to.
Yeah, I think it will. It's really going to leave the city resources more available for those more critical calls.
Councilman Weber's in the queue.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what I'm hearing is this isn't going to cost us any extra money then?
I think it's going to save the city money.
Okay, and that's my follow-up question was, if you think it's going to save, what do you think the estimate on savings would be?
Well, we're averaging about 3 miles per gallon. We're going to these calls 4 or 5 times a day, in a diesel motor. I wouldn't know off the top of my head, but I can say in confidence that it will reduce the, accidents. It's going to reduce the strain on our firefighters. And we're also not going to be firing up the engines and that sort as much. So we'll see a cost savings in wear and tear, fuel, and also what's important to me is the well-being of our folks and who can focus more. And it's important to realize too that when I say 20 plus calls, it's not just going, making sure they're okay and coming back. There's a whole process behind it. We have to write reports behind every single time we fire the engine up and respond.
Yes.
We write our standard report, and then we'll write a PCR, a EPCR, which is a full medical report on every single call. So every call takes our folks over an hour. After restocking the engines, we're purchasing nasal cannulas and stuff that we're using on some of these patients. So I think there will be a decent cost savings on it.
Yeah, I've often seen the responses, right? And I'm like, man, that's a lot of firepower for something, but it's understandable, right? Because you never know what you're going to get. But in this case, what basically I'm hearing you say is that this is the ability to triage these calls, to make sure that we respond to the right ones in the right way, right? So,
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
well, you got my support on it.
If there's any dispatcher that has any question at all that this patient may not be stable or is threatened in any kind of manner with their life, they're going to dispatch at Fire Engine Code 3. It's Protocol 33. They're going to go, write down that card like I had mentioned and ask those important, vital questions. And our comm operators are highly trained.
All right, Councilman Reynolds is in the queue.
Chief, I really appreciate your common sense approach to efficiency and not denigrating any service at all. You do an excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions from council? If none others, I'll entertain a motion.
I approve I just recommend that the council approve the implementation of priority dispatching within our city.
Call the roll, please.
Motion passes 6 yes, 1 absent.
All right. Next item is municipal code discussion with regard to vacant buildings, item number 9. Mr. Ring.
Yes, actually, this was put on here at the request of Councilmember Weber and Councilmember Johnstone, and ultimately, though, it was, there's been a lot of discussions over the past, year and a half on just the issues and concerns that arise when buildings are left vacant, whether it leads to just general blight if they're not maintained. It could lead to crime. It could lead to also decreased property values, decreased economic development. So they wanted to talk about, we do have an ordinance on, some language in our ordinance about, we have what's called it is called,
Vacant building monitoring program.
thank you, Ron, which is in place. And, I'm not sure how much we've used it lately.
We have
Okay.
quite a few.
Got it.
So
Okay.
if you want me to add, I'll go
Yep.
forward. So 9.12.120 of the city ordinance is our vacant building monitoring. If we come across a building that is abandoned or vacant, and the definition of that is they're not making any effort to try to rent it out. They're not making any improvements. There's nuisances, whether there's broken windows, trash out front, whatever the case may be. We make a determination whether it's vacant and reach out and contact the property owner. If the property owner doesn't have it listed for rent and there's nuisances there, then they will register to the vacant building monitoring program to avoid being cited for the violations. And it's $479 a year. We do an inspection once a month. We have direct contact with the property owner. A lot of these properties, it's very hard to find a property owner. But we have their number, their email, how to reach out to them. If they are within 50 miles of the city, they can be the contact person. If they're further than 50 miles from our city, then they have to get a property manager or some other person that's going to be responsible to respond to the property when we find an issue.
I get a lot of complaints about, certain buildings around town. You and I were talking about a couple of them today. And, this is such a sensitive subject, if you will, because property rights are so important to so many of us, but at the same time, it's like, we've got certain buildings that are, could be, or should be, economic engines for our downtown or whatever district we may have, the apartment complex, whatever, or in our downtown right now, we've got, one building in particular that I think everybody knows about that is, been sitting there vacant for a long time. It's had a busted front window now for about 6 months. And so just trying to figure out a way to incentivize the, owner of that property to, either lease it or sell it. So then we could potentially get somebody in there to, put a business in there and then make it more of a productive part of our economic engine that should be downtown, because, and so the conversation that I'm having with a lot of my constituents are surrounding that, and then seeing, like the other property that we were talking about that you've been having I don't want to name the property here, but the one right around the corner here, and just trying to work with them to incentivize them to take action, because there's a term, as you know, it's called land banking, right? They just sit on them, and they basically have these properties on their portfolios, and it becomes essentially a tax write-off for a lot of them. And as you know, there's that one property I was just talking about right now. That individual lives in South San Francisco, and has no intention of trying to clean that property up, even though it's technically it's okay, but it's it's just sitting there. So I didn't know if there was a way we could explore. I was looking at other ordinances around, what was it, Rancho Cordova? I sent you that ordinance, and they have a fairly stringent monitoring system and an incentive program that they try to incentivize these people to do these type of things. So my hope was, much like earlier when the Haven of Hope on Wheels was here, and it was the beginning of a conversation where we could start exploring, right? Like, how do we, if there is like enhanced penalties you just said it's $479 a year, and if we identify a property that is, or an owner that is refusing to utilize that property for what it's meant to do, then maybe we could incentivize them through a
So
harsher.
if they have the property listed for rent or lease, it's not considered a vacant
Yeah.
building. So if they are trying to lease it or rent it, it's not considered vacant.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that, and then we're held hostage at the same time, as a community that's trying to build an economic engine and keep, and get Oroville going, so.
I
Anyway,
know-
I'm just hoping we can have a
I know the
conversation.
community development director, Pat Hyatt, he did a walk today, and was it 35? Go ahead and fill.
35 vacant properties I found today.
Yeah. Downtown.
Just
Yeah.
downtown.
Yeah. And then add in that, how many lots there are that are vacant and buildable, right? It's
Right.
just,
I didn't count those, but right, yeah.
yeah,
There's potential for sure downtown.
yeah.
Okay. You done?
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Goodson's in the queue.
This is an ongoing saga here. So we have enforced building codes, issued citations, we've had inspections, and we really do, thank you for bringing this up. Well, we can't keep doing SSDD. For those of you who don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Same stuff, different day. And so can't we create some type of policy that would put a sunset period on how long an owner can take the community and the neighborhood hostage, devaluing property, the blight, et cetera? I mean, other cities do it, and let me just say personally, and I believe we can all see this, whenever we go on vacation, we don't go on vacation to blighted areas, right? We go to Hawaii, we go to San Luis Obispo, where you don't see blight, where you don't see homelessness. Why can't that be Oroville, USA? What do they do that's so different?
What cities did you name?
Oh, don't you.
There is homelessness. I can take you,
Half
Janet, to San
moved
Luis
back.
Obispo, San Diego.
So you get what
100%,
I'm
it's everywhere.
saying. You get what I'm saying. There's cities that
Horrible.
are very clean.
Yeah.
So what are they doing different, and how can we do it better?
So are you talking about the movement of people or?
The blight.
The buildings have to
And
be.
the abandoned buildings and burned buildings. There seems to be a quicker turnaround in their policy.
Yeah,
How can we adapt?
Well, the way
what
it
they
works,
do?
and correct me if I'm wrong, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, but the buildings have to be maintained. They can't have any code violations. They have to be renting, looking for renters or leasers, or looking to sell. They have to be doing all these things, and it should not be a blighted building. If it's a blighted building, then it's a different issue.
Yeah, the
shouldn't
building
be.
that we were talking about earlier, the JCP, the window is broken out, it is boarded up, but that still, either the board can be painted light color to the building, or they can replace the glass.
Yeah.
That is their option with a broken window.
I know, and I know Pat has done some work. He's working with the ODBA to try to figure out, figure out what type of businesses would be successful in downtown. What are some gaps that we're missing, and then try to target some of these small businesses. But then I also want to say this kind of, to me, it boils all the way back and come to full circle. What we've talked about a lot is market rate housing. We need more market rate housing in order to get more folks with disposable income here to spend income downtown to support these businesses. So I mean, it's kind of like a cycle, and we really need to. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces here, working on all of those things, and it's going to take a little bit of time. It's not going to happen overnight, but I can assure you, it's on all of our radars and minds. That's where we want to go. We want to see that. We don't want to see vacant buildings downtown.
Can I
So
butt in here?
You're absolutely right. It's not going to
Patrick, you wanna
happen
add to that?
overnight.
Go ahead.
Well, the effort the thing that I wanted to avoid is that we have building owners slap tenants in there just to slap a tenant in there. And then maybe it's not a business that will, that can be sustainable. So as Brian mentioned, we want to identify businesses that would complement the downtown and create more of a well-rounded experience of a downtown. So that, and then that hopefully that will end up being businesses that will be a little bit more leveraged towards success if it's something that the downtown needs. So we have 35 vacancies down there. So that is a lot of little businesses to put in there. And there's, I don't know what that would be, but what we've talked about with a little bit with the ODBA is putting our minds together to come up with a list of businesses that might be good for that. And then we would maybe go after, Wes and I could then start to approach businesses in other communities that are already successful in those type of, say, uses, and then see if they'd be interested in coming here and opening up a second shop. So, I mean, that's one of the things we're looking at. And then with the marketing team, they're starting to put together, some videos and that kind of thing to put out to people. And we're trying to get the word out that this is a business-friendly community that has lots of opportunity. And then if we have a list like that we're talking about, that maybe we can use that to just have people say like, oh, that's what I wanted to do, and I'll try to go to Oroville and set up shop. Or maybe some local people would even be preferable, if we can have some local people that go all in to start a business. So that's sort of the plan that we have. And I do think it's when I walked around, I could see these businesses that really look like they need to do something different for the appearance, for the curb appeal of the downtown, just whole business district. But, and I do think something should happen with that. I do want to caution that we don't do something that just incentivizes people to just put businesses in just to put a business in, that we might see then a revolving door of businesses opening and closing.
Okay. Vice Mayor Smith is in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Exactly. Well said. Because if government lays too heavy on the private sector, you can end up, if you research this issue, by the way, and you asked, well, why isn't more done? Well, it's called the 4th, the 5th, and the 14th Amendment, to name a few, when it comes to personal property rights. And so there's a very delicate balance between leaning heavily on people's property and our perception as to what's acceptable and not. And if you ask 10 people, you're probably going to get 10 different opinions to some degree. However, looking at our code, we have plenty on the books. A lot of it just has to do with implementing fairly. So we have to be careful about targeting, look at that corner business in the downtown. So we're going to target that owner. We're going to go at, because we don't like how they're doing business there. That makes me, because you have to be careful what you wish for when you release the bureaucrats to begin leaning in. Because there's as many needs in Councilwoman's South District as there is in the downtown or over on my side of town. And so I think you have to be equitable and fair. If you're going, I think you start with all the windows need to be in good repair. I too went around and took pictures. There's vacancy. We have whole shopping centers that are vacant, for Pete's sake. And oftentimes we put a lot of attention to the downtown because it's beloved, it's historic. I get that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think if we as a city are going to begin to implement a more aggressive approach to vacant property, we need to do that fairly equitably across the city. And that way we ensure that we don't begin to target certain properties or property owners just because we don't agree with how they're doing business at the end of the day. I mean, it sounds kind of funny coming from somebody that runs a Chamber of Commerce, maybe, but me personally, I always defer to personal property rights as a general rule. That being said, absolutely, you don't want broken windows, you don't want blighted property, it attracts crime. We know the drill as to why that's a problem, but I think we have to be very careful in that implementation and how we lean into that. And I would just say that when it comes to attracting new business or attracting people to our community, as a city, we need to get our flippin' act together. Like all the grass growing up in our curbs and gutters and in our, along our sidewalks, and the disrepair of landscaping up and down our city. It's very hard to point your finger, at a particular business owner because I got a crack in their door or a piece of chipped tile. And then I think we need to, before we start leaning in too heavily, we need to have, our act together. And just to say this on a personal note, I lived in the Bay Area. I lived in an HOA. I know what it's like to have the neighbor call out your weed. Yeah. Getting the letter from the HOA. I moved out of the Bay Area because I love Oroville. It's the land of the free, home of the brave. And so there's that balance. Be careful what you wish for. Because, when I parked my construction truck out in front of my house, I got a letter for that too. And there's people that love HOAs, and they're amazing neighborhoods, but they're not for everyone. And so I guess I offer that anecdotal caution that as we weigh in, there's a lot to consider there. Thank you.
Councilman Reynolds in the queue.
Some of you I've just met, some of you I haven't met, but we've been around here for a long time. My family's been here since 1870. So we've seen just about everything. And until we get over our mindset or our attitudes of small town politics, we're never going to have big town results. We need to quit picking at each other and work together. And I'm with you, Vice Mayor Smith. There are businesses that are targeted and people that are targeted, and we need to stop. We need to all work together because nobody wants to come to a community and invest where the people that are leading it are unstable in their actions. Not saying unstable as individuals, I'm just saying as working together. So it's very, very important that we work together and that we encourage people to come. We can't just encourage the ones we like. We have to encourage the ones who are willing to invest in our community. There are a lot of people that have moved, a lot of good people that have shut businesses down because of the small town politics mindset. They don't want to play the game. And they've been successful everywhere else. They've come here to retire. They employ people here and they're going, you know what, I've just had enough. I'm just going to retire and stay out of it. And so I'm just saying that I concur with you, Vice Mayor, excuse me. I concur with you, Vice Mayor Smith. So, thank you.
Councilman Weber?
Thank you very much. Just to be clear, I don't think anybody that's advocating for any of this is advocating for the attack of any business, at all. I never mentioned an existing business. So, no, it's exclusively for abandoned properties that the people are refusing to do anything with. So personal property rights are really important, and I'm a personal property rights guy myself. However, we as the elected also have a responsibility to the economic development of our town. So, so just be clear, there's two different issues being talked about here, and the issue of a business or targeting a business or anything like that, that is not what we're talking about at all. What the intention of this was to invoke a conversation that would say, okay, we have buildings that are abandoned and have been so for 20-something years, okay? And, and then how can we get them occupied, right? With something, and how do we incentivize the owner to actually do something about that? So personal property rights have nothing to do with that, okay? Attacking a personal business has nothing to do with that at all, okay? It's all about what can we do? What can we do to help incentivize economic growth and development in our community?
Brainstorming.
So with that said, I will assure you that my team will monitor the downtown. If they see, we have 25-plus nuisance violations to go by for commercial businesses. And starting with the building that you and I talked about today, they will get notice that either the board gets painted or I'd rather see the glass get replaced, honestly. And then, and we'll further investigate into what their plans are with their structures. And if they are not on our vacant building monitoring, which a lot of them are, but if they're not, then, and they're not making any efforts to rent or lease or sell the building, then they'll have to sign up as well. We'll definitely take a look at all the buildings though and
So our agenda
clean some
item,
things up.
our agenda item has been answered.
Mr. Mayor, we do have a public comment on this item.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go ahead. Let's do the public comment.
David
real quick.
Goodson?
Yep, go ahead. Trying to move this along because we're wavering away from the original question here with a different topic. No, I appreciate your answer. Mr. Goodson.
I'm going to go back to Councilman Weber's summation of what his original concern was, and then a lot of other conversations came out of that. But, and I understand and I sympathize with what goes on downtown and the need for, this is a business zone, this is downtown. But if you go into South Oroville, there's some buildings that I have lived with for many, many years, and Ron knows my concern. And so, where are the teeth? We have some places that are simply straight up blight, burnt buildings that are burned up in the back, and then the facade in the front, they've got some type of things covering the window. The windows are broke out. It's terrible looking. It's been like that for years. For years. And then yet we as a city say, we got these regulations, we have to work with them. The guy says he's got insurance, is working on it. I'm gonna tell you, if I was on the other end, I wouldn't believe it, because by now there should be some type of insurance settlement, something. Or if you are waiting for the insurance settlement, replace the windows and paint the building in the front so at least it looks decent. It's absurd for us to have to go, to be blight every day that you have to drive by. And the people that own the building, they don't drive by the blight because they don't live in the neighborhood. We got to do something about this. We need to use whatever legal resources you have. But if you're a person that you live in, like you said, somebody in South San Francisco, and all you're going to do is charge them $428 a year, right? Well, I don't have to worry about that. Send $128 and $428 or whatever, and leave it alone. But there's got to be something greater. We talk about, we want Oroville great. But we can't be great if we let these things keep going. Some things you got to be aggressive on, and you can't just go because the person has a conversation with you and you get sympathetic with them again and they give you a promise, and they've been promising for 4 years. Or I'm just giving say for example, you got to do something. These buildings, we don't have, we on the Myers Street corridor coming up in the south side. Also, I'm gonna deviate. The same thing that we did on the streets up here, we need to do going up through Oroville, South Oroville, okay? It'll make a difference because when you stop, it's really the same. That goes up, that improves our city. But if we're gonna be a city of excellence, you gotta have some teeth, city council. You've gotta have some teeth and push these things. Stop having sympathy for someone that you already have sympathy for a number of years, and they keep coming up with excuses. We gotta take action. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Smith, Vice Mayor Smith, excuse me, you're in the queue.
Just to speak to Councilman Weber's bringing this to, I appreciate the conversation. I think it's very important, and I think it's a spot-on conversation that we need to have. I'm just very passionate about personal property rights. It's kind of like a burning issue for me to protect that. Because I think that's like the first mandate within our Constitution. That being said, clearly we have blighted property that we've, allowed to continue for years and years and years. That's a big problem. And so all I'm saying here in a passionate way is that we need to ensure that we're applying our policies, our code, equally across the town, that we have as much concern for the south side, Pastor Goodson's part of town, as we do for the downtown, and that we are equally applying staff time to all these areas. But clearly we've tolerated far too long a lot of this blight, which does lead to crime and all the issues, and that does lower property values. When I was researching this issue, it's ironic that too heavy-handed or hyper-focused by the city can actually lead to devaluation of property value. So it's a balancing act, really, when you really start kind of delving into the topic. So I'm all on board with how then do we bolster our code and its enforcement. And I think that Mr. Belser's done an amazing job. Just how can we, and I think it's good healthy for us to have this conversation. What's that look like? How can we move the ball forward and to, clean up our community? And so, no, I appreciate it. I don't want you to feel like I was, downing the conversation. I think it's super, I really appreciate the conversation. We need to have more of this as to how we can assist code enforcement, the furthering of the cleaning up of our town so that South Side can prosper, downtown can prosper, my district, the whole city can and be elevated equally. I think that's just my point. We just to be super careful to make sure it's equitable or fair. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has made a significant difference. Yes, he has.
True enough.
Yes, he has.
Councilman Johnstone.
Thank you so much. So in talking about a discussion, you're saying it's $400 and something, $98 or something like that a year? And we're talking about incentivizing for reasons of incentivizing the property owners to lease out or rent.
Expedite.
Why don't we just raise that rate to like $5,000 and incentivize, you either pay the $5,000, which is money to go into the city, or you rent out your property. Is that something we can do?
Well, I know right now it's a fee, so it's based upon cost recovery, so we would have to look at it from a different, yeah.
Right. Cost recovery
But I
process.
do like that.
I mean, okay, can we look at something like that, see what we can do?
I think that's good consensus here that whatever steps can be taken to raise the incentive for those to be move forward is a good way to go and bring it back to council.
Is that for both residential and commercial?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. yeah,
amen.
Yes. Councilman Weber, are you still in the queue?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify with Ron too. Please understand that this conversation was not in any way, shape, form, or means meant to be an indictment against you, because I echo the sentiments of everybody in this room. You do an amazing, amazing job. And in the last few years, if it wasn't for you and your team and your efforts, then look at the presentation you gave us earlier, all the stuff you guys have done. So certainly not an indictment at all. Just an exploratory conversation, okay?
Oh, I appreciate that. Rome wasn't built in a day. So,
Yeah, that's right.
But whatever suggestions you have for us, I think we're very open to hear.
I got ahead.
Okay.
So don't get me started. Be sure about that.
That looks at everything.
All right, I think we've got enough on that item. Council direction given, I guess. Item number 10, the options for filling the vacant treasurer's position.
Okay, so we've, with the passing of Carolyn back a number of months ago, the council had two options. One was to fill the vacancy with an appointment of some sort, or defer that and put it on the ballot. And the council chose to defer it and put it on the ballot. There was also another ballot measure to eliminate the position because of the lack of responsibility that the position currently has, which unfortunately that ballot measure did not pass, so we still are with the treasurer position. It is vacant right now. Nobody ran for that position, so the council has similar options what we had a while back. We could do a recruitment and make an appointment off of that, or we can defer it until the next election in 2 years.
I like that. Was that a motion?
Yeah. I think the deferment is a great idea. Any other council
I'll
members?
make a motion to defer it.
Second.
Call the roll, please. Thank you.
All right.
Item number 11.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to recuse myself.
Yeah, I also am going to recuse myself. Mr. Vice Mayor Smith, you have item number 11.
There you go.
Okay, because I have something to say. Are they gone?
I can kick this off, Vice Mayor, if you'd like. Just this item, I'm not sure if you've,
Oh,
I know what it is,
you know?
but if you.
No, go for it. Go for it then.
Okay.
I was trying to help you if
Yeah, so item number 11, of course, is the request by the Rotary Club of Oroville for us to sponsor. And we have three ways that we can go with this. Approving a platinum level sponsorship of $1,500, approving a lower level sponsorship, or making no sponsorship at all. And so that's what's before us if we want to do that. So we do have some speakers in the queue on the council. Councilwoman Goodson?
Yes, so Rotary Club as well as other nonprofits, we can't thank them enough. They're a vital part of our community. I'm in favor of supporting the Rotary Club. Every year, they come to the city council and they're requesting a sponsorship of a table. Rotary Club has been a cornerstone in our community, and their efforts do deserve support. However, I believe that approving a platinum level sponsorship of $1,500 could set a precedent for other nonprofit events which may not be sustainable for the city in the long run. I believe that by sponsoring a table, we can continue to show our support, our appreciation for the Rotary Club's contributions while maintaining a balanced approach to future sponsorship requests. And one thing I just want to remind everybody of, if you do this for one, you must do it for others.
Councilwoman Johnstone?
I basically said what I was gonna say.
We have a motion there?
I think a table, and I believe that was $800, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
What, I was looking for the number
Yeah.
at another level.
I'll second
For
that.
$800.
You
So do you have a
second
motion?
that?
Or $600.
She
Oh,
motioned.
wait, that's if we pay in full.
How much? All right.
So is that did you make a motion for a table of 8 for
You second?
600? Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Well, Janet or me?
Yeah,
Do
both.
we have any public speakers on this item? Okay. All right.
Man,
Vote.
that was swift. We gotta get rid of the mayor.
Motion passes 4 yeses, 2 recusals, 1 absent.
I'm glad he had to recuse himself. Ooh.
How'd the vice mayor do?
Oh, excellent. I mean, we can get rid of the mayor.
All right. Cool. All right, next item, public hearings. Having none on schedule, we move forward. Public communication hearing of non-agenda items. Any non-agenda item slips for us?
No, sir.
As we've done the second time, okay. Next, our future agenda items. Council, any future agenda items? Councilman Johnstone.
Yes, I would like to. Oh, I'm tired.
I know, we all.
Hear me?
Yeah. It isn't.
Now
There
it
you go.
is.
You're good.
There. Okay, thank you. I would like to support the Oroville Airport Day again, like we did last year with the $5,000. I think it was very successful. I want to do as much as we can to bolster the airport out there. So I would like to.
I'll second you on that.
Thank you very much.
And that's to the
third.
the nonprofit group you're talking about.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
for the Oroville Airport Day in May.
Okay,
We'll put it on the agenda.
call
Thank
roll.
you.
Or do we have to agendize?
We're good.
Just
We're
recommend.
good.
Just consent?
We just needed two supports,
Put it on the
right?
agenda, right? It's not on the agenda, so we can't take an action.
You can't take an action today, but we can bring it
Yeah,
back and
bring
put
it
it on
back
the
to
agenda
the
for you.
agenda.
Okay, put it on the consent.
All right.
Thank you. I have one item that I'm kind of curious about. And I saw the damage done to our public bathrooms up on the levee. And let's say we caught the person that did it. What is the penalty? For damaging city property? Anybody know off the top of their head?
Well, it'd be under a felony section if it exceeded a certain dollar amount, which most certainly it would. what the ultimate punishment would be.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to prison over it.
Right, oh, I know. That's what I was looking for, because I was looking for, is there a dollar penalty for damaging city equipment or city property?
$400 or more is a felony.
$400 or more, but,
Is a felony?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. So do
That's
we?
vandalism for
but-
any, whether it's city property. or
Right,
anything.
and that's what I was looking for. Do we actually have an ordinance that cites the person responsible for damaging city property? That we have as an evidence? I mean, you follow my thinking here? Because I was looking for a fine in our fines about damaging city property, and I don't see it anywhere. And I understand it might be in the health and safety code or the penal code. Should we have that in our city ordinance code?
We have an ordinance that says we have a right to recoup our losses
Losses.
with damaged property.
Yeah.
So we can sue the person.
Right.
Which the court, I think, would
They would establish that as restitution.
Because
restitution. yeah.
part of where I'm going with this, I was hoping to have a sign that we would put on, in particular, those bathrooms to say, you'll be prosecuted for damaging this property, and there's a damage recovery service or something, you follow what I'm saying? Some kind of an incentive sign that causes them to think before they damage that equipment. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, you could cover the penal code itself as well as
Yeah, exactly.
the civil aspect if you wanted to include that, but that would be part of the restitution.
I'm just thinking, as they walk in and they go to use the facilities, that's the last thing they see before they use the facilities. Might be a thoughtful pattern.
A deterrent.
That camera right there.
Well, I like that, but I don't know if we can go there, but.
Working on it, ma'am.
Yeah,
Not in the facility.
I'm sure they'll do $399 worth of damage.
yeah, exactly. But you see where I'm going, because we don't let the public know that you have to be responsible for damaging city property.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm kind of going to, is basically signage that would say that, much like, if you're litter, it's $1,000 fine, those kind of things. Because they may not realize it, even though they might feel entitled that they can damage it, or as Fred brought us pictures of all the stuffed in that very expensive bathrooms that, how is the bathrooms coming along? Are we still,
Well, we've installed new locks on the Portland Loo at Centennial Park for a cost of over $1,000.
yeah,
And we've replicated the same thing. If those locks haven't been installed at Bedrock, they will be. And we've been keeping them pretty much locked down the entire time. And we're looking at opening them back up maybe in the very near future with the weather improving a little bit to see what happens. Because some of the population has came up to the outside of the loo and found it locked and just decided to do it on the door and adjacent to the door. So that's a whole different set of
Right.
issues that we're
well, I
dealing
was
with.
being curious to whatever staff could come up with on a proper signage to, deter them from doing that. That's my only thing. Councilman Weber's in the queue.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to piggyback off of Councilmember Johnstone's comments earlier. Just real briefly, I agree completely with that allocation of that money, could totally, because, Pee Wee does an amazing job at bringing in an amazing event every single year, so we need to support that. And then also, just as a comment to Chief Wines, I want to just thank you for coming on and showing showing what you're doing. I could tell, I could see what you're doing, and in the conversations with you, I'm very encouraged. And so I just wanted to say thank you for taking this role on, and thank you for going after it the way you are. And then, Fred, this is a redundant question, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but can you, because I know Councilmember Thompson and I were always asking you about that flag, so I know you gave me an update about the flag earlier, so.
Yes, it's interesting that you mentioned that, Sean. Since I've been in here, I did have some communication. I'm meeting somebody tomorrow morning. They're going to give me a little bit better of a data download on who actually owns the Liberty Pole, what's that ownership look like, who owns the flag that keeps raising it and lowering it, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Well, that's a work in progress, and yes, the flag that we're looking at doing is a 20 by 40. It's a pretty big flag.
Yeah.
And there is protocol on flag sizes on pole sizes, so we want to be respectful to the colors, especially when we hoist them 24/7. We do have the new LED lighting on there, so we want to make sure it's the proper size. We don't want it too big and too small, but glorious nonetheless.
Yeah, I'd love to see a big, giant, beautiful flag flying up there,
We don't want it too big, Sean. We don't want to catch the trees in a slight breeze and it rips it off. So there's some, yeah, I agree.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
Councilman Reynolds is in the queue.
Yeah, this is on a little lighter note. We've all seen the movie Cool Hand Luke. Does anyone know why Luke was in prison? He cut the top off of a parking meter. Put you in perspective a little bit.
One item that I wanted to add that we've all been informed by California Water Source, one of the big projects they're going to talk about is replacement of the water line on Washington Avenue. And it's not just an old line, but it's only buried 12 inches under the asphalt.
Wow.
And that could be a huge problem. We already had the problem at Mitchell and Washington, but there's about 8,000 feet of pipe they're planning on trying to replace. So that's an issue for us all to be aware of.
On Washington?
On Washington, yeah. So that was a nice meeting we've had with our water companies. I'm going to add too that I've made a request of Brian to take a look at our weed abatement policies and our fire fuel mitigation issues. With all the different things going on in California, it might be a good time to review what we're doing and is there something better we can do for our population here. As something's going to hit us real quick, and that's called fire insurance. And it's going to be awfully terrible. So if we can get ahead of that storm, it'll be a good idea, and I'm just open to whatever ideas folks have.
We got a meeting today on it.
Oh, good, okay, excellent. Councilman Goodson.
Something you just mentioned about what can we do? Keep water in the fire hydrants?
Yeah, well, I can tell you, if we've all reviewed the water companies in this town will not run out of water in the fire hydrants. I'll guarantee you that. All right, thank you all. We will be adjourning this meeting to the next regular held council meeting on February 4th, 2025 at 4 p.m. Thank you all. We are adjourned. Oh, on a cruise?
Yeah, cruise, baby.
Yeah, you can have that. I get seasick.